Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 223rd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings. Joining me this evening, we have Tommy the Guru Allen, Andy Patterson, Hater Dave Lowback, and Ben from Boxing BNTV. I hope I haven't done him a disservice there. I was just trying to think of where he was. I think it's BNTV. Johnny on the call at some point. We haven't heard from him yet, but we will get him on as and when he appears. Right, we were deliberating off air about where we were going to start this weekend. There was quite a lot of boxing, a lot of good boxing, I thought, and a little bit of mediocrity as well. So we'll the end of the discussion. I think we're going to start off in Leicester. Quite a few bits and pieces going on here, about 20-odd fights as usual from Frank. Tommy Langford in the main event for the interim WBO World Middleweight title, getting stopped in the 5th round by Avtandil Kurtzidze. Also, Tyrone Nurse was on that in a British title fight against Joe Hughes. They drew. Zolani Tete, bit of a boring affair against Arthur Villanova in some kind of interim eliminator. Jermaine Smile against Darryl Williams, really good fight, enjoyed that one. And then a variety of other fighters at different levels on the undercard. Leon Woodstock, Thomas Stalker was there, Anthony Yard, Daniel Dubois. We'll get to those in due course. Andy, first of all, just looking at the main event. Last week, I put it on record that I fancied Kurtzidze. I couldn't received favourite, but as time went on, I thought to myself, this Kurtzidze, he's only about 3 foot tall. Langford, if he can move any, even the slightest, get the jab going, use his height and reach advantages, he could pull this off. And by Friday night, I thought, yeah, I fancy Langford. Boy, was I wrong.
Fair play to the guy, mate. I mean, there's no shit can go his way. Some will say that he was at his depth last night. I mean, he did fight a top 10 guy. No shame in what happened to him. He did box move for a fair bit. Did make Kurtzidze miss, but the ending was just he just didn't get his right hand up quick enough after he threw it. Straight in the point of the chin, great shot. People will say as well, okay, he's been put in there as a patsy and stuff, but at the same time, he's still got a career. He's 27-year-old, British title. Can go on, maybe pick that up, maybe go up to European level, and then maybe kind of see how he goes for there. Maybe get another world title shot. But Kurtzidze, he is what he is, man. He's just going to keep coming forward. He's just a juggernaut. It doesn't matter what you're going to do. Him throw punches at him. He's just going to keep coming. I don't think Saunders actually stops him. Actually, I think he will outbox him, but he'll win for a tough fight that night. By the way, just on the case of Saunders, actually, what the state of that fucking gut last night. And he's got 3 months to go before he makes weight.
It was pretty disgusting, wasn't it, Tommy? I mean, afterwards they were having a bit of a, weren't they, in the press conference? And Billy Joe Saunders, I know that Paul Dempsey, Tommy, said that he's full of these little one-liners and he was lauding his wit, but I think that he's banter's shit, to be honest with you.
He is, Billy, isn't he, man? He's a street guy, man. He's just got to cough out wankers and shit like that. There's no much thought process into it, but funny in that when they were heading back and forth. Obviously, the Georgian couldn't talk much English. And Billy struggles with a bit of English himself, doesn't he? So
he spoke enough, Tommy, to say "you fat man" and then patted his belly.
Aye. I thought it was funny. He was like, Georgia's full of wankers, man. Then the two of them kind of had a wee bit of push in that. But fuck, man, that's what it is. There's a wee bit of hype in that, trying to build the fight. So I quite enjoyed it last night. I thought it was decent in that. It was a great left hook in that he put Langford away with. So I've liked this guy. He's quite fun to watch. He comes forward. Big Mike Tyson fan. You can actually see style in that. Even wee subtle moves in that. You must watch Mike quite a lot in that. So I
like Mike Tyson. I like Mike Tyson.
That's hilarious. He's doing his rounds on Twitter. But I think Saunders. Honestly, I don't think he's big enough. I think Saunders should do box uncomfortable. I think the speed difference will just be too much. I think Billy's just got too much in his locker for him. Hopefully he's fit though, because if he's no fit, the wee guy will maybe come into it later on.
Yeah, he's going to keep coming, isn't he, Tommy? I thought that Saunders, he was trying to be as fair to Langford as he could without saying, look, he's a big coat stand who basically couldn't get out the way of the punches. He was trying to be diplomatic, wasn't he? But he saw the glaring deficiencies of Langford and where he could exploit Kurtzidze, and I agreed with his analysis at ringside of what he would do to Kurtzidze.
Oh, exactly, man. Langford last night, I think we all kind of thought that because Nitsi was going to be. I mean, Langford, this way he is. He's straight up and doing chins up in there and that. There's not really much variety in his game, is there? So
Does anybody think
that's
actually
a guy there that was easy beat.
Does anybody here think Saunders can actually knock him out?
He's been slugged before. I don't think Billy's the biggest puncher in the world, but I think he's got enough power. It depends. I don't think he'll knock him out with one punch, no, but he maybe force a stoppage, just do accumulation, because we guys, he's not exactly the hardest to hit, is he? Comes forward.
I think he could catch him coming forward. You know, that way he kind of like bores in, and I think he could make him miss, but then counter him at the same time. He could maybe catch him that way. Use his body weight.
Like an accumulation thing, Andy. If he keeps hitting him hard enough and often enough, he might sort of wilt the wee fella.
Aye, maybe just as he might just kind of stagger forward just once too many. Just Billy maybe just picks him off a good shot that maybe uses his full body weight. Maybe just walks right in at the fucking ring post or something like that. Type of thing, staggering about the place. But like you just know he's going to come actually, and Billy Joe better be on. He better get himself trimmed in. But some folk were actually asking, is he still with Adam Booth? Definitely.
As far as I know, he is. Yeah.
And you get that fucking belly trim, man.
Certainly does. Ben, not that I want to keep shitting on Langford, but he's got to 18-0. He sneaked past Sam Sheedy, as we were talking to Russ about the other week. What was it that Frank really saw Kitsidze to have a little look at Kitsidze, I think, ahead of the Billy Joe Saunders fight? He really fancied Langford against Chris Eubank Jr. He was even talking at times on IFL videos about him moving up to world level. What on earth was Frank seeing that the rest of us weren't, Ben? Ben.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what Frank's seen in him, to be honest with you, that we're not. I think Langford perhaps is one of those guys who is impressive in the gym and while he's training, but on fight night he doesn't quite produce what he's perhaps capable of. I think he himself said that his fights like against Sheedy and were not his best, and that he could produce more, but he's just not pulling it out. I think people say that about Scott Cardle as well. That he doesn't pull out what he's actually capable of. Perhaps he's not motivated. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. But where he goes from here, I'm not sure. Like you guys say, I don't think anything past British level really.
Hey to Dave, I don't know how much you saw of this one. Little Kitsidze has got previous form over Omar Douglas. Do you see him causing Billy Joe any problems?
This is the only fight I saw on the card besides Murray. Wait, this is a different card.
Yeah.
I can't keep your British cards straight. Anyway, I saw this fight. This is the only fight I saw on the card. And I thought it was pretty funny how the commentators were crying in when Langford got sparked. I hope Kitsidze can get Billy Joe out of there. I mean, why should Billy Joe even be fighting him? I thought he was going to fight Golovkin. Isn't that why he was ringside at his last fight?
Yeah, we were hoping so.
I guess he's fighting this guy as an interim. I don't know. I hope Kitsidze wins because I like Billy Joe when he insults Canelo, but other than that, there's really nothing really much to interest me. He's been fat. He's been terrible. Some people argued he lost against a complete bum last time out. So if he can't get himself disciplined, and I mean, this is a guy who's gonna make him pay for that. I guess that's kind of a fight worth watching, but knowing Frank, he'll sell about 10 tickets for it and cancel it.
That was fucking brilliant, by the way. The only time you like Billy Joe Saunders is when he insults Canelo. That says a lot about his career, eh?
I mean, his win over Andy Lee was good, I guess. I liked when he beat Eubank. That was, but he had a lot more trouble with Eubank than he should have because he was out of shape.
He's completely killed his momentum, though, hasn't he, Dave? I mean, he was on the cliff. He was on the verge of the big fights, and then all of a sudden he just goes fat and he goes missing. I mean, it's so frustrating to watch. Yeah,
well, frustrating, I guess, if you care about him. I don't really think he's good enough to care about.
Okay, Hater Dave has spoken. Let's move on. Andy, did you see anything of the Tyrone Nurse Joe Hughes fight? Joe Hughes, I don't want to harp on too much, but we know he fights with a disability. I think it's his right hand. He's pretty much inactive for most of the fight. But I tell you what, he gave a really good account of himself and he drew Nurse in close, and it was a really good scrap, this one.
Never watched it, mate, because I think I switched there to watch the Abraham fight at that time. But just on that card, I did watch or enjoy the Smile against Williams fight. That was a fucking great scrap. I mean, it was a good, what was it? I think it was an English title fight, but it was like proper fucking, right to the cobbles and stuff, down with the head, using the elbows and stuff, fucking vicious, proper fight. So if you've not seen that one, Dave, got on that card, go and watch that one, mate. It's a really good scrap.
It was a good scrap, Andy. I think Smile was supposed to be the favourite beforehand, and Williams, who was undefeated, he got cut a couple of times, but he drew him in, didn't he? And he negated Smile's reach advantages.
Aye, it's a really close fight. I did think that the 98-93 scorecard was kind of wide. It was a really close fight. I thought maybe a point or two, but it was a really excellent fucking fight. Just balls to the wall. I mean, just you would think, one person was getting on top and then they would just need to cover up and then they battered back. Oh, it was just absolutely brilliant. It just shows you once again that these English title fights, these area title fights, they've got to stay. And it's good to see Frank actually get them out there, kind of mainstream as well, because it was an excellent fight.
Did you see the big heavyweight, Andy? Dubois?
Dubois, aye, that's one each with Barcelona now. I did see him actually. Was it a second round knockout?
Yes.
Aye. I remember now. Who was it? This guy that he fought, was he like some sort of kind of ex-amateur star?
Blaise Menduo. I think he was a decent amateur back in the day. He kept ringing. It was hard to see, really, but I thought Dubois looked a little bit stiff, a little bit rigid. And now I know people say the kid's only 19, cut him some slack. Happy to, Andy. But if he's talking about being the youngest ever world champion, we have to judge him on, a level a bit higher than the likes of Blaise Mendoza's.
Oh, you're right, mate. I mean, they need to be going cutting through a swathe of fucking heavyweight contenders just now, even the dross ones. But I know what you mean. I mean, what is he, 6'4"? The guy he was fighting last night was obviously small. I mean, he did catch a couple of left hooks. He did get wobbled a wee bit, I think. But that's obviously part of the course. I mean, I know he's been running about the amateur gyms and stuff, but there's a lot to work with there. I think this prophecy about being the youngest heavyweight champion ever, that's not going to happen. In other words, if he gets pushed too soon, I think he's going to get knocked out. He's only 19. Just give him time to work, get him abroad, get him sparring with some of the best and stuff, and then kind of gradually build him along and put him on with good opposition, because there's no rush with the guy. I mean, he's no what he's going to be cut up to win the world title with a 21-year-old. Not going to happen.
I agree with Andy there, Tommy. Develop and mature as his body lets him, rather than pulling the hyperbole and this bullshit along it. He just needs to have good learning fights against good opposition.
Definitely. You've got to learn his trade and that. As you see, he's only 19, so that I don't see how there is any rush on him. It's not realistic to think that he's going to win a title at a 21-year-old. There's plenty of fighters in that in Britain. I'd like to see him get him in with the likes of Sexton and stuff like that, Lewis and guys like that. Let him learn his trade. These are guys, if he is going to be half decent, he should actually be beating them right now. So I'd like to see him getting in with guys like that. Get him up to get him his 20 wins, maybe 3-4 years down the line, and then if he's good enough, get a title shot. I agree with you last night. He did actually look a wee bit stiff and upright, but there's plenty of time for him, isn't there? There's a lot of good stuff coming out the gyms and that about him, saying that he's a real talent and he's doing this and he's doing that in the gym. So he's definitely one to watch out for. He's got a good jab. I like his jab.
What about who's that big Welsh heavyweight guy? Is it Dorian Dark? Maybe put him in with him next. He's usually durable.
Did he not fight AJ on the Carol Froch cross?
Yes.
He did. That's what I'm saying. Get him in with guys like that just now, and we'll see what he's made in that. That's fights you'll learn from that as well. Maybe not. I'm not sure really much about darts. I'm not sure what he's got left, but I'd get him in with the likes of Sexton and that. Put him in there now.
I mean, he's 6'4", 19. He's still going to physically grow. My ad says there's no rush with the guy, so let him learn.
Definitely. You see him. He's 19-year-old, and he actually looks like a man. See, to be honest, he's still 10 years away from actually being in his physical prime, and that there's definitely a lot there to work with. Another good young heavyweight coming up in the UK.
I noticed over the weekend that Sean Big Sexy Turner, a favourite of mine from Dublin, actually lost his O. I think he was 10-0, and he lost to a 3-9 Pole, Kamil Sokolowski, over in Solihull in England. So that's not a good look for Big Sexy. Don't worry about that though, Tommy. What about this Anthony Yard? Quite a few people are hot on him. This Darren Snow, I don't know, he looked like some kind of EDL enforcer, but he managed to get through him, smashed him in two with the body shot. He's stepping up to area level next, Yard. I think he needs a step up, doesn't he?
Ah, definitely, man. There's a lot to like about Yard. That he's definitely quick. He's got power. He actually looks quite poised. He doesn't really go in there just hammering his fists and that about. But as we see quite a lot, we don't know how good they are until they obviously challenge better opponents and that. You need to see him get hit in the chin. You need to see how much he's got in the gas tank and stuff like that. So get him in there with a wee bit better opposition. Let us look. I quite like him in that. He's definitely a puncher. So. I like punchers, I like knockouts. I want to see more of him.
Yeah.
Just thinking, who can he fight domestically? I mean, Buglioni's went to Matchroom.
Yeah.
Burton's Jose Burton. I think he's with Joe Gallagher. So that's Matchroom as well. So, I mean, apart from Cleverly, man, I think the only one I can think of.
Callum Johnson, what's he doing himself? He actually got a contract in Matchroom.
I think he has, mate. So the other one I can think is Bob Adjav, but he's winking AWOL, was he not?
I've not heard about him for a wee while.
He had fighting this Chris Hobbs guy on the 20th, according to BoxRec. 20th of May. Southern area light heavyweight title.
All right.
Step up to championship level anyway, I suppose. Ben, couple of other decent fights on the undercard. I watched this morning Leon Woodstock against Paul Holt. I like the look of this Woodstock. Plenty of spite in it. He's put there really well. Also, Thomas. I didn't see his Thomas Stalk. I'm not really that interested in, to be honest with you. Zolani Tete, Ben. I was quite bored of this, to be honest with you. I thought he went through the motions. He was just playing with Villanueva.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I haven't caught up. I haven't seen the Tete fight yet, unfortunately. Well, maybe not unfortunately.
No, well, I wouldn't worry too much. Don't worry about that. What did you say? A bit of Tyrone Nurse, maybe?
No, I didn't even get the Tyrone Nurse. I really wanted to watch Tyrone Nurse because he's just around the corner from me. So I was surprised at the result of that. I wanted to catch up on it. I saw the end of the Smile fight. I watched the last 2 rounds of that just because I wanted to. Everyone was sort of raving about it. And I watched the Langford knockout from that card. That they were the only ones I caught up with.
No probs. Ben was over in Liverpool for the Martin Murray Gabe Rosado fight, so we'll be catching his opinions on that one after we've gone over to America. I wanted to hold off on the Porter Berto because Donny, that was the only fight, the only show he saw from the weekend, but he hasn't jumped on the call yet, so we'll put that to one side anyway, and we'll go over to California. I think hopefully everybody saw most of the stuff here. Oscar Valdez with a unanimous points decision win over Miguel Mariaga. A bit of a WBO fest this card was from Bob Arum. Jesse Magdaleno knocking out Adilson dos Santos in the second round. Gilberto Ramirez having it all his own way in a one-sided affair against Max Burzak. And the pro debut of Shakur Stevenson as well. Plenty to like on here. Andy, I know for a fact you've seen the Oscar Valdez fight. I'm in a little prediction league on Facebook, and I had Valdez by 10th round knockout. So you can imagine I was thinking that all the points were going to be coming home whenever he had Mariaga rocking. That's the distance, Mariaga. I thought it was a pretty decent step up, actually. Mariaga pushed Nicholas Walters before, and I was impressed, Andy, by Valdez's gas tank. He was throwing a lot of shots right till the end.
It was a proper test, mate. I thought there was maybe, watching it, I did think there was maybe, he might wilt a wee bit, but, he was aggressive through it. I thought, I was even thinking to myself, is his power all that and as you got up in class, so to speak, but that 10th round was absolutely amazing. I thought it was like a great, that left hook just alone, just, basically turned Mariaga to jelly, but he fought himself back in it. Great performance in that 10th round. Probably the round of the year so far. You got to give him his credit for basically surviving the onslaught as well, because I did think that Valdez kind of then poured a lot in trying to kind of get him finished and stuff, but then he kind of knew that he wasn't going to get him out there. Decided to kind of box and move. He did it really well. Did they move out defence straight lines? Landed maybe 2-3 punch combination and rolled out and kind of like maybe turned Mariaga onto another jab and stuff. Really good performance. I'm actually really impressed with him. So it was the only fight I got to see this card. Actually, I've been really fucking stressed out this week trying to kind of deal with family stuff and that, mate. So I'll let you pass it over.
No worries, Andy. Hey to Dave. I remember talking on the pod quite a few months ago. I can't remember who the culprit was. I don't know if it was you or maybe Seb. We were talking about a possible fight between Oscar Valdez and the other champions, and Carl from time, and somebody said, Valdez would walk through him in 4 or 5 rounds, and I pulled them up at the time and said I completely disagree. I think Valdez against Frampton would be a really, really good fight, but I know you're going to disagree with me, Dave, because you call him the jack-off. I think Frampton would just about edge Valdez.
I think the words I used a few months ago was, I think Valdez would break Frampton in half with the body shot. And, I still think he would. It might not be 4 rounds. No, I don't think it would be early. But I think he would eventually get to him and stop him. He's got some. His defense is not the best. I think he looked much too open against Mariaga last night. Don't think he really looked hurt, but so he's obviously got a good chin. But yeah, he was willing to take a lot of punishment there, and he gave up a lot of rounds. I don't know what fight Julie Letterman was watching. That was abysmal. She's shot. She's more shot than her dad. But yeah, I think Valdez was really adept at catching and pitching. Sometimes he would catch with his face rather than his gloves, but he timed his attacks really well, and I think he landed the more authoritative stuff all night. Frampton would have to be on his bike all night against Valdez, and I don't know. They're about the same size, aren't they? Frampton's not going to be like out jabbing him, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's a good fight, and I want to see it.
Just regarding Valdez's progression, Dave, before you run off, I think that it's a trend, isn't it, with fighters? We've seen it with Joshua. We've seen it with many fighters. They see a belt opportunity and they pick it up. But Valdez strikes me as a bit of a prospect, slightly still a work in progress, who's holding a belt. I think he has plenty to work on still. You still there, Dave?
Yeah, you were breaking up. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, not again, breaking up. Sorry, I said I think he's still a bit of a work in progress, Valdez. He's not the finished article.
What was his amateur background like?
I really have no idea.
Neither do I, but I think he's pretty seasoned for his young age. I mean, he is quite young, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still young. It's okay. I'm hearing you shit as well now, to be honest, so I don't know what you're saying back to me.
Go on to somebody else.
Here we go again. Tommy, you didn't see any of this card, did you?
No, I watched the other card last night, mate. I still need to catch up with this one. So,
did you see any of it, Ben?
No, I didn't catch any of this card either, unfortunately.
And neither did Donny.
Well, actually, I did get a chance to view a little bit. Are you talking about Valdez?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I did get a chance to see a little bit of it. I didn't get it took me, because the thing was pay-per-view over here, and it took me a while to get find a video link with a decent with a decent thing of it. And I wasn't going to buy it last night. I ended up watching the Showtime card, but well, what do you want? I get Showtime. I didn't want to pay for that. So anyways, I mean, Valdez was in a great war with Mariaga. I actually I haven't finished watching the whole fight yet, but this was a great fight. And, I just can't help but think that, HBO has invested. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I was saying, I can't help but think that HBO has invested all this money in Lomachenko or whatever. And he delivers these fights, last week that are, not particularly pleasing on the eyes and not particularly exciting. Whereas, you got this other guy, Valdez, who I really love watching, who was in a fantastic fight, and he's stuck on an independent pay-per-view that is not backed by any of the networks, HBO or Showtime. And, he provided a very thrilling, contest last night to everybody who was able to catch that fight. But unfortunately, it was kind of closed off from people. It was behind the paywall of pay-per-view. It was just a real shame that that people didn't get to watch this fight. Mariaga, he put up a really good fight, and both of them, gave the fans a really good show. I'm pretty high on Valdez. I think that the sky's the limit for him. And if I'm not mistaken, if we were talking about his amateur background, I believe he was an Olympian. So, he definitely has the sort of amateur pedigree to. He's got that good fundamental base that I think that he can do a lot with the talents that he has and move forward in the sport.
Thanks for that, Donny. I was impressed with Jesse Magdaleno. Did a good job on this Dos Santos guy, although we didn't expect much from him last week. He'd gone the distance, I think it was, with Kid Galahad, and he's a bit of a gimme. I like to hear Magdaleno was calling out Rigondo and all the other champions down at 122 as well, so hopefully they can make some unification matches. Gilberto Ramirez blows hot, blows cold. No real interest in him, to be honest with you. Decent. Just a kid, though. He's 19. Going on about looking 12. Decent accuracy. Seems to have a bit of speed and a bit of skill about him. We'll wait and see how he progresses. Andy, did you see Abraham against Krasniqi, you were saying?
I did, mate. I watched it for about the 5th round. I spoke to Ryan. Apparently, Abraham did nothing for the first 4 rounds or so, 4 or 5 rounds. Then just kind of gradually kind of eked himself into the fight. I did think, again, a couple of wide scorecards in there, especially if for what I'm being told about the first 4 rounds, he probably gave him away. Then he's probably had to fight himself back into the fight. He did hurt Krasniqi a couple of times. He was kind of running about the ring, Bambi and ice type stuff. I did at one point to think that Abraham might kind of catch up to him and knock him out, but in the end, I could go at 118, 110, 117, 111, and 115, 114. And oddly enough, I think that's a final eliminator for the Ramirez rematch. So I suppose the only thing that's going to make that fight interesting if it gets called is if it happens in Germany, which is not going to happen. So no way Abraham can beat him really as a cooked up scorecard. To be honest, we all know he's shot. What is he now? 37, 38. Again, his output is gradually just getting worse. He's a constant high guard, just sits on the ropes, calls a guy in, just keeps a high muffs, and then just tries to kind of like let off 3 or 4 punches. Sometimes when he does land, the guy does feel a bit. Krasniqi's, it's tough enough, I suppose, but he's not got that solid chin. Bremer knocked him out, so. As I says, Abraham, there's no really much need for him to go for that Ramirez rematch straight away. I mean, obviously, it's another big payday if he goes to America for it, I suppose, but no desire to see it as well. So I don't know what else he's going to do, actually hang about that level, maybe just beat up some domestic guys or whatever and that. But it's clear to me that he's still a bit of a draw, considering how the crowd was going for him and stuff like that. Obviously, there'll be a big Armenian contingent, but he's still a drawing power, mate, and he's still got the TV deal. So I think he'll keep fighting until well into definitely into his 40s anyway, I think, at this rate.
He's still making the money over in Germany, old Abraham. One person who should maybe pack it up now, I think, is Andre Berto. I was talking off air with Tommy about this one. I know you saw it, Donny, over in the Barclays Centre, New York. Sean Porter, Andre Berto. More headbutts landed than punches in this one. There was cuts galore, but eventually Porter got the job done. What did you think of it, Donny? Did you enjoy the fight? Was it a bit too messy for your liking?
Well, yeah, I mean, it certainly was messy with the headbutts, but I think that, Porter did what we all knew he was going to do. So I believe that as a Haitian national, Berto's first language is French. Speaking of French, the voters just put in Macron and Le Pen. Apparently, they've at least some of them have decided they want to think about making France great again. Well, Berto wanted to be great again last night, but the problem is that Berto was never great to begin with, was he? Berto is the most overrated fighter in boxing. And there's a reason why, it was a joke on boxing forums for years, to say that in order to get a Mayweather shot, you needed to go through Berto, right? Because, of course, Guerrero went through Berto, and then who was the other person that went through Berto? Ortiz. So it was
Carras as well.
So it's like, and the reason why that was a joke is because Berto isn't exactly a high hurdle to clear, is he? He's a very limited fighter. And, of course, he has been serially overpaid for years by Al Heyman. Porter did what he was supposed to do against a fighter of Berto's caliber. I like Berto; he's a great guy. Did charity after the Haitian earthquake. I mean, he's a very nice guy if you talk to him in interviews and everything like that. But I mean, he's just not that good of a fighter. And Porter did exactly what he was supposed to do with him. And I think also the fact that he did dispatch him so clearly and convincingly, and really without too much struggle at all, I think really shows you the quality of Shawn Porter as a fighter. As much as it pains me to say that, because I don't really like Kell Brook, and to say that Kell Brook beat a guy as good as Shawn Porter, it pains me to say it, but it's true. Porter is very good, and he only lost that Thurman fight by such a very close margin, didn't he? And I think that that rematch kind of has to be where he goes next. But Porter is quality, and last night he showed what happens when you get in with somebody who's definitively B or B- level fighter. He showed what you're supposed to do. The headbutts made it kind of ugly or whatever, and it potentially posed problems to him and everything. But I mean, he came through it, and he put on an impressive performance by my opinion.
Did you see the undercard, Donny? The Charlo Hatley fight in particular? It was some knockout to finish it off.
I saw the highlight of the knockout. I did not see the fight, unfortunately.
I saw the fight. It was all right, actually. I actually liked that performance for Charlo. He was quick. He was slick. He was good to watch, which kind of makes me kind of then think that he's on that fucking really good diet, bread and water, so to speak. But that knockout, man, just the way he got it, he actually threw a left hook and he missed it. And his right hand was just sitting perfectly, just right under his chin, and if it had been sitting anywhere else, he wouldn't have got that shot off it. He just threw it right at the top of the guy's left hand, straight on the fucking face. Oh, what a knockout that was! And then the shout right after the fucking fight, sleep. So right fucking vicious knockout, and a good wee bit of kind of cat that kind of followed up on that. I was actually kind of pissed myself at the but I'm a bit suspect with the guy. I think he's on the A side meth.
Well, I have to wonder. Now, this might sound a little conspiratorial, but how do we know that wasn't Jermall in there? They are twins, after all. He looked freaking huge. He fought a more exciting fight than we're used to seeing from Jermell. And he iced a man like Jermall does. How do we know Jermell isn't used to make weight, and then they just send Jermall in to fight? I mean, good strategy, right?
You be speaking to Matty D again, mate, aye?
No, but I mean, even if they don't do this, I think it's something they should consider because it's a good strategy, Nah,
because the other time would have put that Hatley away in the first round. He was shite. He could have put him away earlier last night too if he really wanted to, but still here on the cautious side. And that it was a great knockout and that to finish it. Don't get me wrong, but he could have had him out there a lot quicker if he put his punches together.
Yeah, he was totally outclassed, which shows you the level Mundine is on.
It looked like a different weight division as well, actually, honestly.
Yeah, because it was Jermall.
Yeah.
Dave's going to be talking about roles. They tell me main event.
I think you cut out there, Steve. You may want to repeat that.
Tommy, tell me about this main event between Porter and Berto. Did you enjoy it?
I actually thought it was all right. It was sloppy, and there was more headbutts landed than punches, but they were pace loading up, and they were both throwing punches with a lot of speed in that. I'm going to disagree with Donny. I'm not too high on Shawn Porter. I never have been since they had the fight with Julio Diaz. I remember watching that first fight with him, and I thought Julio Diaz won the fight. It was gave a draw. And since then, I've not really been impressed. I don't think he lost the Brook fight. I actually had the Brook fight a draw, but the guy just he comes in, he puts his head down. He doesn't look where he's throwing his punches. He just swings his arms, doesn't he? To me, I don't think he's a top 5 welterweight, to be honest with you. I thought they are pretty similar in that, but I think the case last night was the fresher man won the fight.
Tommy, if Porter isn't very good and you think he's not even in the top 5 welterweights, then I mean, I'm not saying that you're necessarily wrong for saying this, but like, does that also mean that Thurman's no great shakes either? Because he really only beat him in a very close fight.
No, that doesn't mean nothing like that. I think the welterweight division is that competitive, and that I'm not saying that everybody smashes them, but to me, you've got Pacquiao's the number one, Furman's number two. You've got obviously got Cale Brook, you've got Errol Spence, you've got Danny Garcia, and that. I would pretty much, I'd probably give most of them the edge here. I'm not saying anybody runs through them, but a lot of people think he won that Furman fight. A few people think he won that Furman fight. I think it was close. I thought Keith was comfortably won that. Although competitive, it was only one winner of the fight, and I think a rematch would be the same.
Right, Ben, let's get over to the Liverpool card then. Murray against Rosado. Fielding Ryder was on the card. Dodd Appleyard. Farrell against Tommy Karras. Tell me about this Murray-Rosado fight, Ben. It wasn't quite the war that Eddie was expecting it to be.
No, it wasn't at all. It was really boring, to be honest with you. The only thing worse probably on the card was Fielding versus Ryder, which was, honestly, I yawned so much through that fight, I can't even begin to tell you. I was really falling asleep. Yeah, I thought it was quite a close fight, Murray versus Rosado. The 119-109 was just insane, as everybody knows. And I'm happy for it to have gone either way. Most people at ringside at the fight thought 116, 112 was fine for Murray. Some thought, they gave it to Rosado by a round or so. And I think Rosado was right to be. He was really upset when I spoke to him afterwards. And he said to me, every time he caught Murray with 3 punches, Murray would come back with 1. And I did notice that. I did think that actually while I was watching the fight. Rosado was landing quite a few shots, and Murray would come back with a good shot, but he wasn't by any means outlanding Rosado. And I don't think anybody wants to see a rematch of it, and I don't think we will see a rematch. I don't even think Rosado thinks he'll see a rematch. Yeah, it was. I don't know where either of them are going to go from here. I think Eddie's just trying to push Martin maybe onto another world title shot, and Rosado, God knows what he's going to do. I think that was his 11th defeat or something. Yeah. It wasn't an exciting fight at all.
Andy, you didn't bother watching Murray Rosado in the end, did you, on our recommendation?
Yes, mate. I came across a 10-minute highlight video on YouTube. Didn't watch that as per recommendation. I've recorded it. I think I watched the grand total of that show last night. I think I watched about 10-15 minutes, and some of that was mostly Ryder against Fielding. I quite like the last minute of the main event. I think the most exciting thing of the night was fucking Rosado going mental after the final bell. I don't know what the fuck Murray was playing at, actually. I mean, there was nothing to do with Martin Murray. Why the fuck get involved with the guy? He was actually moaning at Eddie Hearn and the judging and stuff, so there was no need for Murray to get involved there. So that's the grand scheme of what I can add to that conversation, mate. It was, I know Tommy's wanting to get tore into it. A few others were fucking raging about it as well. You've got to be honest and say that that BT show was head and shoulders above that there last night. Absolute dire for what I've been reading. Even the Abraham fight was fucking better, probably better than that fucking shite that they got served up there last night. So I'll probably just hand it out to Tommy, mate, just to kind of rip into that one if he wants, if he's back yet.
Don't know if Tommy's back yet. You back, Tom?
If he's not back, I can shit on it.
Go on, Dave.
All right. Well, the judging was horrendous. That Polish judge, what's his name? 119, 109 is woeful. Let me look it up real quick. Leszek Jankowiak. Terrible. I thought also Gregor's Melendez 116, 112 was too wide, but I mean, you could make a vague argument for it because it wasn't a great fight with some close rounds. I thought Rosado won it though. Murray was not active enough. He was constantly on the back foot. He was taking a lot of shots on the ropes, and I think he was hurt and tired in the late rounds. It was an embarrassing performance for a guy who's supposedly world level against Rosado, who just is coming off getting completely schooled and doing nothing against Willie Monroe. Rosado's stock goes up from this for me, because I thought he was totally shot, but I mean, he's got something left at least if he can compete with Murray. But Murray was, wow, I mean, that was bad, real bad. And seeing Eddie Hearn like smiling smugly ringside while this Hagler Hearns 2 unfolds sloppily in front of him was really infuriating as well. It was just a terrible event. Terrible.
You can just tell they're all waiting for next week. That's them being in Glasgow, that's them being in Liverpool and stuff. So they've been jollying it up, getting ready for the big event, the hobnobbing, all the fucking high teachings and stuff. And it's going to be good stuff next fucking Saturday. Like, they're going to be right off their beak. No pun intended.
What did you make of the Fielding Ryder fight? I thought Fielding was doing okay at the beginning, and then a lot of won and was hard done to. I was watching the Box Nation card at this point, so I didn't see. Hard done to in your opinion?
Cut out of there a bit, Steve.
Pretty much, Steve, aye. I think Steve's gone.
I was just asking Ben about Fielding Ryder.
Yeah, again, like I said before, it was the most boring fight of the evening. It was horrible to watch. If you watched it on Sky, just imagine what it was being like ringside. It was terrible. In fact, on most of my notes, half of the rounds I've just put meh next to it because there was nothing. I couldn't think of anything to put. There's that little happening. Such a grinding fight. It really was bad. There were, I think it was maybe the 10th round. Ryder put his foot on the gas a bit, and he got some good power shots off on Fielding. And Fielding was on the back foot for most of that round. And I think in the 11th he got him as well with a nice left hand. But then I think Rocky caught him back with one as they came out of a clinch. I think other than that, in the last few rounds, there wasn't very much. It was just like they were tied up together for the rest of the fight. It was, like I said, it was a very grinding fight, and it was horrendous to watch. I think Fielding, you could give it to Fielding, I suppose. It was fair enough scorecard, but it wasn't. It was probably the worst fight I've ever seen live. I can't think of anything worse than I've seen.
Right, Steve's going to try and get on the mobile, so I'll just nip in here. I've got no notes, so I'm just going to take this right off the cuff. Tommy, mate, I know you were raging about the Sky stuff. Tony Bellew's scorecard, Fielding Ryder fight. What's going on here?
Well, I obviously watched the BT card. I never watched the Sky card live, so I seen the scores and that coming through, and that I was obviously looking at Twitter, and I'm looking, and everybody's saying Ryder won, Ryder got robbed, blah blah blah, Ryder. I never seen any scores for Fielding, so after the fight and before I was going to watch the American card, I said I'll stick a bit of the Sky card on. So I started watching the Ryder and Fielding fight. So I watched it. It wasn't pretty to watch. It was actually hard work, but I stuck with it and I scored it. I thought Ryder won the fight 7-5, but see, to be honest, Bellew's card was absolutely shocking. He had it 117, 113 for Fielding. I don't know how anybody could have came to that conclusion, to be honest. And the way I can think of it is just another example. Sky commentary, one of their mates are fighting and they're scoring the fight for him. I've actually been looking through Twitter now. I do try to look for cards and that are for Fielding, and there's none. The only cards I've seen one guy on Twitter, he had Anfield as his header. The only other few scores I've seen for Fielding have been obviously Bellew's one of them, and fucking that Anthony Fowler. He's a scout as well. I thought it was a quite clear 7-5 for Ryder, and I just thought it was shocking. I just thought it was shocking for Sky again last night. Bellew's card and that was absurd. there was no way he could have won the fight with that amount, the amount of rounds. And to be honest, the judging through the card and that as well. I've watched most of the Rosado fight. I've seen about 9 or 10 rounds yet. And to me, that was a competitive fight. You've seen a 119 card in that last night. He'd been hard on Sky and that, but this every time there's a card in that one now, we're seeing shit like this. We're seeing shit like Bellu's scorecard. We're seeing shit for the judges. Eddie Hearn can come out on Twitter and that and say it's disgusting, but what's actually doing about it? But there is ways that you can get poor officials. You don't have to have them on your card, but we're seeing them time and time again. They're coming on the matchroom cards, and you actually know before the card's going to start. You see, this guy's suspect. He's going to have a bullshit card tonight, and it happens, doesn't it? So there's something going to be done about it. It's just I always thought that British boxing's always been one of the better. There's never been many. You've had the odd robbery in that over here. Don't get me wrong, but on a whole, when you see like the Italian cards, the German cards, and the American cards especially, in that these three were far above the UK when it came to fighters getting robbed. But you're looking at matchroom cards and that now, we're just as bad as everybody. It's no right, and if it's Eddie Hearn's guy is getting robbed, he's obviously right in there straight. Oh, we need a rematch, and that. Is it going to hear a rematch between Murray and Rosado? Is he fuck? So that's just the way I see it. That there's the commentary's biased, and there's obviously bullshit going on there as well with the judges and that. So I'm not happy with it, to be honest.
As I say the day, mate, I've seen every scorecard. I've seen the Abraham scorecard, again, the actual official one, the actual copy of it. So Abraham, VALDEZ, Porter, all that sort of stuff. Do you ever get to see this shit from like the matchroom shows? I mean, we need to see that fucking scorecard for that Rosado fight.
I definitely, as I said, I've not seen the whole fight, and I actually thought maybe Martin Murray was edging it, so fair play. If he did deserve to win it, he did deserve to win it. But at the end of the day, there was no danger. There was a 119 card in that. I'd actually like to see the scorecards, and as we've talked about this for a long time, the judges need to be held accountable in that for their cards as well, and that they should actually have to. I wouldn't mind seeing like the commentators and that getting a hold of them after the fight and they holding them accountable and that.
Steve, you back, mate? Let's see if this works. Steve.
Can you hear me now?
Aye, mate. On you go. Fire away.
Desperate times, boys. Desperate times. Right.
Just talk about that Sky card, mate, and how shit it was.
Yeah, I think we're unanimously agreed on that. Right, I haven't got my computer in front of me, so I'm winging it a little bit here. What else was there over the weekend? Anything that I might have missed? Sam Solomon, did anybody see that?
He's
never
back.
seen that, mate. Never seen that. I did see Ioka though, and Michel Soro. He knocked out the guy who went the distance with Brian Rose. Was it Martial? Knocked him out in 3 rounds, or stopped him in 3 rounds. He didn't knock him out. He was basically kind of just beating up on him. Ioka beat a Thai guy. I forget his name just now, but unanimous decision again. So. At 27, 28-year-old Ioka, I think they really need to make a push for unification with him. Zhao Jiming, for example. But as I say, I think that guy's he's either past his peak now. Actually, it's sad to say 27, 28-year-old, but it's like he's plateaued, and there's nothing. I don't see anything different from him. So I think he's found his level now.
Okay. Right, I've had a few questions in, so we'll try and get through these, if I can get a sentence out. Right. Ben, question from Rory McGonigal. He says, this is a question that's relevant to Saturday night, actually. He says, I can't get my head around it. Why the hell does Frank Warren insist on having so many fights on a bill? 16 this weekend, 15 next weekend. His main events always end post-midnight, and people have mostly gone home by then.
Yeah, I'm baffled by this as well. I mean, how many fights were there on the Matchroom show last night? Let me count. There was Jed Carroll, Josh Thorne. So there was two or three before the show started. Then you had Farrell, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights live. So there was 8 fights last night on that card, and it started at roughly about the same time, maybe an hour later. And Frank had 14? 14 were on the email they sent out, so the running time email. So, but if there was 16, that's even worse. I don't know why he does that. And I think actually maybe Frank has said that there's a backlog because this Sky BT deal started somewhat later than I think they'd originally planned it to. So now there's a backlog of guys who need to fight, and Frank's obviously signed a lot of fighters recently. And some he hasn't even, they've not even announced formally through like press releases and on their website and whatnot. There's a guy from Bradford where I live, Darren Tetley. He's 13-0 welterweight. They've not formally announced his signing, but he signed in December with Frank. So, you know, there's a backlog of fighters there. I don't even know if there could be other people who he signed and they haven't announced. So I think it's probably that backlog, which is why at the moment we're seeing that. Whether it continues going forward, I don't know.
Tommy, one person who has left Frank and joined up with Matchroom is Jamie Cox, a popular figure on the scene. What do you see for him in the future? Hopefully more fighting in the ring than out of it?
Prison, probably, for him. He's a fucking bit of a dickhead, that guy, isn't he? He's actually quite a talented fighter as well. So if you keep his head together and keep his shell out of trouble, I mean, maybe cause a bit of, maybe do a bit of damage or that. But I'm interested to see how he goes. But I think he's a roaster.
He had a bit of potential at one point, but he is a bit of a roaster. Hey to Dave, question came in on the Facebook page from Joel Archard. He says, does the pod agree that no matter who wins next week, they will still have to beat the man that is the Gypsy King to be number one? And then do they also need to beat Wilder to put clearer daylight between them and the rest?
Absolutely, they need to beat Tyson Fury. Absolutely, he's the number one. Unless he retires. I mean, and then there's just like really no choice. I mean, I don't know what his dedication to the sport is. I mean, if he remains fat and just like trolls people on Twitter for the rest of his life, I mean, we may never see him back in the ring again. I hope that's not true. I hope we do. But if he stays active, then they do need to beat him. Yes. If he retires or just vanishes, then I mean, you're going to eventually just kind of have a sort of emeritus champion that kind of comes to fruition by beating everyone else, hopefully. As for Wilder, I wouldn't be surprised if he got beat by somebody else while waiting for one of the big fights to materialize. He looked pretty poor in his last fight. Did not box well. Got out jabbed by Gerald Washington. Did finally land the big shot, but you know he's a very bizarre modern heavyweight. He fights in his own unique, wild style, and it's served him well so far. But I don't think it's going to cut it against everybody, and sooner or later he's going to come unstuck.
Fury, to me, kind of, I mean, in his current situation, kind of reminds me of the way Mike Tyson was, except, like, in other words, when Mike Tyson went to prison and then he came out, Evander Holyfield was sort of seen as a placeholder that he couldn't really be champ until he beat Tyson. Now, the funny thing is that Tyson wasn't the lineal champ, right? But everyone just still regarded him as the best, even after, 3 years in prison or whatever. So, I mean, Tyson Fury is the lineal champ. So I can't imagine that anybody could be regarded as, as being the true champion until they go through him. But that being said, that argument that somebody isn't the real champion until they beat Tyson Fury diminishes every single day that Tyson Fury's out of the ring, right? Every single day that he's like, eating food and like trolling people on Twitter and not actually in the gym and fighting, gives whoever is, can lay claim to the quote unquote legitimate title, it gives them more and more legitimacy as his absence grows more and more distant. So, but for now though, given that it was only about 18 months ago or so that he was the champ. I mean, I think Tyson Fury is still like the lineal champion, maybe not by the book standards for how long he's been out of the ring, but I think in the minds of the people, he's definitely still gonna be a lineal champion, and not only even more so if AJ wins this weekend, of course, and I know we'll get into this later, but I mean, then you have the lineal champion and then another guy who beat Vlad in the same country. I think that the demand for settling that argument will grow, even more so because the two guys would be from the same country.
They need to let the guy fight. If you look what UCAD have said, right, they've came out, they've lifted the suspension for the PEDs. They've said it's likely came from contaminated meat. So that was lifted. That was over and done with, right? They got done with the cocaine, right? It's 2017, right? It's not a performance-enhancing drug. If anything, it's going to be detrimental to his career. He's admitted his guilt. Fine him, fucking let him fight. Let him get back in the gym. But this is what's holding it up. I think Tyson would fight. As soon as he gets to go ahead, he's back in that gym and he's going to be fighting. So they're putting this hearing back and they're putting it back. What's the point? He's admitted his guilt. He's admitted he's took the cocaine. From the wrist, let him fight.
Is Huey not got a hearing next month as well?
I think they still have got the PD hearing coming up, but UCAD came out and says because the B samples and another blood test came back clean. What UCAD said was we think it's came from contaminated food that they've both ate in suspension. So maybe there will still maybe be a hearing, but Tyson's definitely. He's out because of the cocaine. I think Huey can fight.
Yeah, that is true, Tommy. Though it's like the longer this bullshit drags on with Tyson Fury and his license or whatever, like the more that I think that kind of serves as a demotivator for Tyson Fury to really train and get back in the ring, because he's thinking to himself, even when I do get back in the ring and even if I do get back in the gym and I start training or whatever, these people are gonna I think that the board of boxing control needs to put it on him and be like, all right, you know what? You did some cocaine. Okay, you've been out of the ring. You've effectively served a suspension already. You know what? Okay, you're free to fight, right? And now, let's see if you're gonna fight, and that's up to you. But I mean, I think we're all well past the whole drugs thing or whatever. I mean, let's put it on Tyson Fury now. Let's let him decide his future, and not a bunch of bureaucrats.
He's saying he's saying that he's going to be fighting on the card of the Billy Joe Saunders against Chaos Kudsadze fight.
No. He's going to walk Billy out, mate. That was.
Is that what it was?
I seen the tweet and then I watched the video after it. He didn't actually say that.
Right.
He's going to walk Billy out.
When I spoke to Isaac Lowe a few weeks ago, he said to me, because obviously he's been spending quite a lot of time with Tyson. He said Tyson's looking to come back around December. I don't know against who or what sort of fights, but he said December's probably when we'll see Tyson again.
Here, Ben. Sorry, Steve. Ben, did you speak to Isaac Lowe about potentially getting a rematch with that Dennis Shalan?
Yeah. That's why I did a little video with him. I forgot on what fight it was. It was in Manchester. It might have been before the Smith Williams fight. I can't remember. Anyway, he said he doesn't think he'll get it. He says he doesn't think he'll get it a little bit. He's going to try, but I think actually he's going to fight next month in Bolton. I forgot on which promoter's putting it on. Might be VIP or some VIP promotion, something like that. But he's fighting on a card next month. But he wasn't too confident of getting that rematch.
He might get it if the EBU order it, though.
Yeah, I suppose if they order it. I don't think he wasn't confident at all. But hopefully, I hope he does. It'd be good for him.
Do we know what's going on with Huey then? I was supposed to be getting Russ on tonight, but technical complications means we're not going to be able to get him on. What's the situation with this New Zealand thing? Is he injured?
He's injured. They're looking to put the fight back, but what they're saying is Joe Parker's probably going to be allowed an interim fight, so we'll see what happens there.
We shall. Right, Tommy, while you're still there, I've got a question for you from George Atwell. I know you like a bet. This would have been good for Smido, but he's not with us this week. Question for the pod for you, Tommy. Looking back on past fights, what do you think have been your worst bets? When I was just getting into boxing, I had £20 on Derry Matthews to beat Flanagan, and my mate had money on Martin Murray stopping Golovkin.
I think my bet's quite famous in that. It was last year around March. There was a fight in Manchester. I lumped a few quid on I certain Mr. Quigg to beat Frampton, didn't I? So that's definitely been a worst bet. I had a few quid on him. So did the old man as well. Aye. Still haunts me today, that prediction, man. I actually had quite a good year on that with the predictions and that, but nobody minds the winners. It's always the losers that get remembered, isn't it? Oh well.
Anybody else? I'm not a betting man, so I can't say that I've lost any money on the bets.
What's the worst bet I've ever had?
Yeah.
Probably putting 200 quid on Kessler to beat Froch in the rematch. That was just pure passion to put that bet on me on for that one.
200.
Yeah.
Betting with the heart, I've been there before as well.
Bet with the heart. Just the odds were crazy, man. I think Kessler to win. He must have been something like, oh fuck, that was a while ago. I can't remember now. I honestly can't remember, but it was a good price.
So this is what you should do though, because you wanted Kessler to win, right? You would have been over the moon if he won. You should have bet on Carl. That way, if he lost, what you did, at least you would have made some money on it. That's what I like. I bet on the guys that I root against.
I made a few quid on that. See that Jay McDonald's last fight? It was obviously, most people think he lost the fight in that, right? Blah blah blah. So I done well behind in that. I'm looking at the odds in play. It was about fucking 8-1 to win the fight. I says Matchroom's got to rob this guy. I chucked 50 quid on him. Quid's right in there. Good night.
That's why you're the guru, Tommy. The Sky card, Tommy. Did you notice, asked Ben O'Connor, that in all of Bellew's fights he was commentating on, he was saying that one fighter is taking control, it's his fight, and then whenever you got to the scorecard at the end, he had that guy about 4 rounds down. I think Ben isn't too pleased with Tony's style of commentating.
So is that for me? Bellew had a nightmare in that again. See, when he first got the Sky gig, I actually thought Bellew, he doesn't give a fuck really. He might just take it like it is, but he just fell right in line, hasn't he, with the rest of them? And he's fucking last night. I knew that, going into that fight last night, I knew that if I went to points, that he was going to hear Rocky Fielding getting something out of that fight, no matter what happened. I just pissed off. Just pissed off with it, to be honest. Pissed off with the whole Sky situation.
Right, let's have a look. What else have we got here? I was trying to hit Donny with one, but it's British boxing related or UK boxing related. Ben, we'll get to you on this one. Andrew Stokes, he said, out of the current crop coming through, out of Dubois, Yard, Fowler, Kelly, Joe Cordina, who do you think will be the most successful out of all those prospects, Ben?
Yeah, I saw that question on the page earlier. Out of those guys, I'm not 100% sure. But if you want to add some of the other guys in, I think maybe Josh Taylor might do better than those guys. Which names? Sorry, did he name again?
He named Cordina, Kelly, Dubois, Yard, and Anthony Fowler. Lol.
Anthony Fowler. The mini Froch. Remember Eddie Herring called the mini Froch a couple of years back? Oh
wasn't
my!
He in the Olympics last summer, and he had the worst performance of any Brit.
He was shite, man. I've never seen actually like Twitter unite as one against somebody. By the way, it was like, see all past rivalries and stuff. See people that you actually hated, despised, actually became your friend for that fucking for like 15-20 minutes just to watch this guy fucking beat,
Fowler doesn't get much love, does he?
Wasn't he the Team GB captain as well? Was it him who was the Team GB captain for the Olympics?
I think he was.
Can't remember.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, maybe Dubois or Yard will do the best out of those names there.
Okay, let's have a look then. Who've we got? Andy, Matt Ports. In light of the recent abysmal scoring, what do the pod think is the worst card scoring for and against British fighters? I always go back to my favourite, Andy, Jimmy Vincent against David Barnes.
Against a British fighter?
The worst card, either for
or against?
Against has to be Paul Smith out in Germany against Arthur Abraham, Andy, when he was
without question, mate. Without question, twice, mate, over 24 rounds. It was absolutely horrendous, and he's a third fight for that. He was actually promised it until he lost it. Lols. Worst card. Well, obvious one. I mean, okay, he kind of gave up halfway through the fight, but probably Robin Reed in Germany against Sven Otka. For or against? I'm really racking my brain about fights abroad and stuff.
Lennox Lewis and Holyfield's going back there.
I'll tell you. What about? Do you remember Nigel Benn fighting Nardello for the?
The Italian.
I'm
Yes.
sure he got cut, right, and there was a deliberation going on. They were trying to fuck him over by calling it I think they were trying to call it a no contest or something like that. Then they basically, I think it was that fucking nonce at ringside. They call him Gary Newborn, basically said that no, you've won the fight on a technical knockout and stuff. And it ended up had to have a rematch, but it took a fair while for that decision to get actually, company and get it officially broadcast and that, because I did think it looked like they were going to shaft Ben over in that one.
Right, okay. Big one, guys. Is there anything else from the weekend that I might have missed? I don't think there is. We went through pretty much everything, didn't we, while I was in the transition between laptop to mobile, so I think it's safe.
You forgot
And it's
Johan
worked.
Duhaupas is back.
Oh, Johan Duhaupas actually won at the weekend, Dave, in Finland, didn't he?
Yeah. He's back at world
Thanks
level.
for mentioning. Michel Sorrow won as well. I want to get on to the big one, though, Dave, the big heavyweight extravaganza for next week, and I want you to comment first. Come on, put your neck on the line. Who's going to win this one? The biggest heavyweight fight in decades and decades. Kevin Johnson against Kubrat Pulev, Dave. What do you reckon?
Man.
That's next Friday, eh?
In Bulgaria on pay-per-view.
Next Friday, Pulev Johnson.
Can't beat that Kevin Johnson jab. And don't forget, he stopped recent world title challenger Alex Leapai brutally. You gotta go with Kevin Johnson on this one. He's gonna school fat Pulev.
His output's tremendous, eh?
Yeah.
Great hand speed.
500 punches around.
Right, okay. I'm not going to dwell on this anymore. Nobody really cares about that. Let's get over to Wembley because we really need to be talking a bit of Joshua Klitschko. All the belts, not all of them, but a lot of baublage is on the line in this one. We're not worried about the undercard. It's pretty shit, but we've got plenty of questions in, so let's get through them. Donny Baseball, hopefully you're still with us. I can't see the list of people on the line, but I'm gonna hope you're still with us, Donny, because I've got a question from Stephen Donnell. Right up your street. How much do you think Klitschko's inactivity has taken out of him at the age of 41?
Well, I think the age of 41, I think, is the key part of that question, because if you had told me this, a couple of years ago, I would say 0, because as we all know, like Manny and Floyd and other guys who have dominated the sport for an extended period of time, as Vladimir clearly has over the last decade, he keeps himself in fighting shape pretty much all the time. You never see pictures of Vladimir Klitschko, being out of the ring for a couple of months and looking like he's 100 pounds heavy or something. I mean, he doesn't do. If he's basically the antithesis in terms of keeping himself in shape, and we're talking about heavyweights, kind of like the antithesis of the way that Tyson Fury lives outside the ring, right? So, he does keep himself in shape. He does stay in the gym, but at 41, ring rust tends to kind of have a more exponential effect. But I don't know if you want me to say this now or later, I actually am going to pick him to win tomorrow's fight. I think that he is a finely conditioned athlete in this day and age of nutrition and training and things of that nature. And the way that he does keep himself in shape. 41 isn't as old as it used to be, and it's especially not as old as it used to be in the heavyweight division, because that's a division that's always been dominated by guys who are on the older side. It's not like the lighter weights where, once you hit 30, you're kind of on the downslope. At the heavyweight division, 41 isn't really 41 anymore.
40's new 30.
Exactly.
Big Tommy jumping in there. Tommy, Toby Hines was on the call. He wasn't on the call. He was on the Facebook page, actually. He was saying to me a point that I actually brought up a while back, more tongue-in-cheek, to be honest, but it's an interesting one. There's a potential Lennox Lewis versus Michael Grant comparison up to a certain point here. And Toby certainly can see AJ maybe having a lot in common with Michael Grant. We'll find out next week, as Toby rightly says. Tommy, I wouldn't be surprised if Vlad comes out and chins him.
Just trumps. Well, that's it. In that, there's too many unanswered questions about Joshua. The one time he has been hit, the legs went in that. I remember Grant when he fought Lewis, and that he did come in with quite a bit of hype, and it turned out that it wasn't actually worth the hype. Lewis just destroyed him. Who's to say that Vladimir won't do that next week? But the stories that we're hearing in that, obviously, is that there's a lot of stories in that going around that Vladimir's. He's not looking great in camp. He's actually looking like a short fighter. That's what I've heard anyway. So on the basis of that, I'm going to say that Joshua beats him. I'd love to see Vladimir do it, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see him dating a left hook, just leave Joshua sprawled on the canvas, but bet and take Anthony Joshua in the fight. I've heard a couple of people saying to me as well that Vlad's he's been nursing a back injury, so it's maybe one to listen out for or that.
Yeah, there was a rumour, Tommy, as well going around. I think the old rumour mill gets going, doesn't it? That Vlad was cut.
I think the cut was bullshit, but before the cut and that, obviously, I've heard that Vlad's been nursing a back injury, and that it's nothing that's going to postpone the fight or that, but it's maybe hindered them a wee bit. So we'll wait and see.
I just got to say, I've heard more negative rumors about Vladimir Klitschko's readiness for this fight than I probably have, except maybe in a David Haye fight, right, where, you know, the rumors are oftentimes justified because he does pull out so much. But I heard that Vlad was cut in sparring. I heard that some sort of, a couple of months ago, I heard that some sort of economic aspect of the deal fell apart. People were saying that Vlad isn't up for the fight, and that, you know, all the time out of the ring, he's thinking about, do I really want to go on, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, there's just so many rumors that have been coming out that have been, I think, negatively slanted towards Klitschko. Part of me actually wonders whether or not maybe they're putting this stuff out there, right? Maybe like Klitschko's people are putting this stuff out because, you know, maybe they want to give the young guy some overconfidence when he, you know, to have him walk into a right-handed and just think that he's got an old man in front of him that he's going to mow down. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying I haven't heard anything positive. All of these rumors have turned out to be false, and all of them have said that basically that Vlad's going to get destroyed. And I personally can't even believe that a Vladimir Klitschko by decision is currently going on the odds markets as 7-1, right? Like if this fight doesn't end in a knockout, if it goes to decision, you tell me 7-1. Like I think that if AJ doesn't knock him out and it ends up going to the scorecards, he's going to have a tough time.
I honestly cannot see this fight going to points anyway. Going to points. I could definitely be a knockout either way.
Andy, as we said, the rumour mill's flying around. One person who's been putting out plenty of rumours himself is Mr. Tyson Fury. He does more tweeting than fighting these days, but he tweeted directly at Anthony Joshua a number of times during the week. One of the bits and pieces he was going on about, I hear you're getting battered by Big Joe Joyce in sparring. Joker can't deal with an amateur boxer, never mind the greatest of all time. Is this more just a bit of pre-fight bluster, Fury trying to get himself in the headlines?
It's probably a bit of both, mate. Probably Josh was had a bit of a hard time in sparring. Who knows? I heard rumours that he got dropped, or according to Tyson, he got dropped anyway. I agree with what Tommy and Donnie are saying. Actually, it seems to be like most of the negativity towards the injuries front. That seems to be kind of more kind of place at Vlad. 41-year-old, he has had problems in the past, having to postpone fights for a couple of weeks until he gets the injury situation sorted out. I hope he is fit. He's got to be fit. I watched the Jennings fight again there last night, and one thing I did watch was the right hand. He didn't really let it go as much, and that was Jennings who was actually kind of like, he was moving a fair bit, I suppose. He was ducking him, but Joshua doesn't use or employ like upper body movement or head movement and stuff. Unless he actually comes out there early, Joshua, and just seeks and destroys. I think he could do it early, but I think he'll probably come out and try and box him. If he does try and box him, I think that plays into Vlad's strength. If he does, then I try and attack him. Vlad just puts that left jab out there, but even if he's not throwing it, he just puts it out there, kind of measure, just kind of keeping Joshua at the end of the jab and just kind of like measuring his distance so he can get the right hand in behind it. But I would expect him to do a wee fair bit of movement. From what I've seen of the videos anyway, Vladimir seems to be getting built up for some movement, maybe jab and move, and he obviously will grapple. I'm really interested to see what kind of shape we get AJ in, actually, to see if he's, how muscular he is. If he's not as jacked as he usually is, then he's obviously kind of like building himself for the long haul. If there is going to be a knockout, I think it'll probably be like the later half of the fight. Depending if Josh was tiring or if Vlad's tank is what it is. I mean, I think he's fought twice in two and a bit years or something. It's not good enough, and it smacks like that Vlad's probably trying to cash out, which he probably is. I think the two of them are cashing out anyway and making mega millions here. But I want to say Vlad. I'm kind of leaning towards Vlad. Just simple fact, his experience, the ability to basically manage the 12 rounds, and just the fact is, people talk about him as an all-time great, maybe like top 20 for example. So you're just wondering if he is as great that we think he is, he could maybe just turn the clock back and knock out this young pretender. But everything's getting built up towards Joshua just now. Everybody believes he's going to get knocked out. He's going to knock him out and stuff. But as it says, we've all said that he's stiffing a porn star's cock, and it's just going to take one heavyweight punch for Vlad Klitschko, and we're going to get a lot of answers. One way or the other, we're going to find at least 3 or 4 answers are going to be answered in this fight. One is going to be if AJ can take a shot, and 2, can they go to 12 rounds? As I say, I'm still no kind of decided on my outcome yet. If it's going to be a stoppage, I think it'll be late. If it goes to points and we've got a close fight, there is zero fucking chance that Vladimir Klitschko walks away from there with a decision. I'm telling you that right now. There's far too much money for him to fucking lose if AJ doesn't get this on the card. So if Vlad wants a win here, he's got to go for the knockout. And I'd love to see like Vlad of like the Pulev fight, because if you look at the Pulev fight, Pulev came out there and looked to put it on him. If AJ does that, it'll be interesting to see how Vlad adopts. If he's going to hug and hold and jab and grab and all that type of stuff, then you can be guaranteed we're in for a long haul. If AJ can just entice him out his shell a wee bit, get him to throw that, especially that left hook. If he can get him with a left hook as well, I think AJ could maybe taste the canvas.
Well, 2 observations also just to offer here. Number one, I agree with what Andy said about how, that might turn into a boxing match at first, because, I mean, let's face it, AJ's a big hitter, and Vlad is, the power. I mean, you could say he's old, but the power, as they always say, especially with heavyweights, is the last thing to go. I think both guys have to be cautious of what, they could run into, coming back at them. And so I think if it starts off as a boxing match, I think that absolutely favors Vlad. The other thing is that, we've seen Vlad been able to muscle people around before, but now he's in there with obviously a very, very large man. But still, even then, he just has a way of using his own physical strength to kind of, and also the holding and the grab. I mean, he has like a certain art to what he does, and it's not always pretty or pleasant to watch, but it is effective. And I'm actually curious if we know yet who's reffing the fight, because are they going to let Vlad get away with some of the tactics that, he's notorious for getting away with, or are they going to vigorously kind of force him not to, tie up AJ and things like that?
Good point, Donnie. I'm checking now. I don't actually see on BoxRec.
I'm checking just now as well, mate.
You can bet your ass he's not going to be getting away with that headbutt like he did against Tyson Fury. Blatant.
Right, I've just typed in AJ Klitschko officials, and the first thing that came up on my list was StubHub.
Ross was supposed to be coming on to have a rant about StubHub, but not tonight. Ben, let's get you in on this one. There's a massive disparity, obviously, in experience between these two guys. And Ben O'Connor laid it out on the Facebook page, pretty stark terms. He said, the funny thing is that just sums up the Eddie Hearn era of world title opportunities gone mad. We have a heavyweight unification fight, Ben, which is the richest prize in all of sport, where one guy has more knockouts than the other guy has boxed rounds.
Yeah, it is. That's the way Mr. Hearn likes to do things, isn't it? I don't think he's going to stop either. I think he's going to carry on doing what he's doing. I think we can see plenty more of these sorts of fights coming from Eddie.
What do you think about the power thing, Ben? A lot of people are sort of putting up Joshua as the puncher. I mean, he can clearly dig a bit, but I mean, a completely inferior level. I mean, Vlad has been knocking out people for years at a much higher level.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Andy said as well. I think AJ, he's got some power, but he's never who's he really tested it on, like you say. And he's very stiff. He's not the fastest mover, so I think to be honest with you, both of them could end up on their ass at some point in the fight. But I'm leaning towards Vlad at the moment. I think in the later rounds, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the second fight. I know that there's obviously the mandatory situation, but I think Eddie's got enough connections with the IBF to get that overlooked when he wants it overlooked.
They're going to. They mentioned about vacating that title. I mean, it makes a complete shithawkery, the whole fucking situation. You're going about, you want all the belts, you want to be the man. Okay, if anything, AJ is the man when it comes to fucking merchandising and ticket sales and fucking billboards and all that sort of shit. But see, at the end of the day, I mean, it's not going to do anything for your legacy. I mean, does it matter that Ricky Hatton fucking dragged all the people to Las Vegas? Does that enhance his legacy? No, it doesn't. It matters what he does in the fucking ring. So this shit, they're going to be dumping titles and stuff when you fucking politically went out your road to pick up this fucking title. Now you're going to dump it because you don't fucking need it anymore. Complete shithousery.
And by the way, too, you just watch. Remember how like Tyson Fury had the mandatory rematch clause with Vlad. And the IBF were like, we're not going to honor that. And they stripped him, right? Which is how, of course, Joshua won his first belt. But like, you watch now, there'll be a rematch clause with this. The IBF won't have any fucking problem with it if AJ wins, because Hearn will make sure that he gets to hold that belt. They would strip Tyson 3, but if AJ wins, they'll never fucking strip him. I guarantee it.
It's similar to the Bizier and Khan situation last year when Brook had to fight Bizier. Eddie was adamant that the IBF would not let them delay that mandatory fight. But this year, when they wanted to make the fight, Eddie told me, yeah, we're going to try and get the IBF to let us have the title on the line. And he worked towards doing that. When it suits him, he will do it. And he's got the connections with the IBF to get that done, I think.
Yeah, let's take things stateside. Dave, the official voice of American boxing, let's get you in on this one from Robert Blundell. He said, what sort of level of interest has AJ versus Vlad reached over there? I'll add in myself, Dave. I believe it's going out live on Showtime and HBO is showing it on delay. I mean, what is this, 1974 again?
That's actually kind of cool that both competing networks are going to be showing this because they realize the relevance of it. I think people here probably, a lot of them probably think Vlad's still the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. I can't speak for non-hardcores, but my manager at work, one of my managers I work with, he recently said something like, "Isn't Vlad still a champ?" So they don't know. I mean, people don't follow things in Europe frequently from America. It's a kind of insular culture over here. But I do, so I know that, and I'm very interested in this fight. I think it's fantastic that it's finally happening. From my perspective, this is the most meaningful heavyweight fight since Tyson Vlad. I mean, I guess there's really no competition for that. And I'm looking forward to it. I do think that Anthony Joshua is going to win it. I think he's going to kind of bulldoze through Vlad. I think I think Eddie is and Matchroom are banking on Vlad being old, and I think he will be old. I find it hard to see him changing his stripes at this point in his career, and I think he's going to have to change things up from what he's been doing for so long to beat Joshua. When he was younger, I could have seen this. I would have definitely picked Vlad. I mean, he was more versatile, but he's just done the same thing in so many fights for such a long time that I think it's going to be very difficult for him to adapt. Joshua, I don't know if he's going to be boxing here or just like coming forward, but I think he's probably going to just like bulldoze him in a sort of George Foreman style, set up big shots with a jab, move forward steadily, and eventually knock him out in about 5 or 6 rounds. I think we would all like to see, I mean, there's positives and negatives to both guys winning. I think we would all love to see Andy's "oh shit balls" moment from earlier this year when if Vlad does land one big right hand right down the pipe, it's going to be brutal.
I'll blow my load.
Will he let the right hand go though, boys? He's been timid, hasn't he? With the
Yeah.
right hand.
This is the question, mate. But if he lets it go, I'm going to blow my load. Like, honest to God, I'm going to.
He's going to be losing. Sorry, mate. When you go,
I'm not going to masturbate this week. I'm going to save it all up so I'm full to the brim when it happens.
I think he's going to be looking for the left. He's going to be looking for the left hook more than anything, is he? Isn't he? He's going to be waiting on Joshua throwing the right hand, and he's going to come back with the left hook. Vlad's left hook lands as good night. It's one of the most devastating punches I've ever seen. That left hook is frightening.
Yeah, and he used it so effectively against Pulev when Pulev like kind of forced him to fight a little bit. and I think Joshua is certainly going to force him to go to that place. Yeah, this is a really tough fight to pick. Actually, I'm just edging towards Joshua because he's younger and fresher, and the momentum just favors him right now. Vlad's been inactive; he's old, and he looked horrific in his last 2 fights. So, but still, he has that chance, and I mean, it would be phenomenal to see all of Matchroom's plans crumble in a heap of ashes, and all
Dave,
the hype.
Dave, just going back to US TV, how are you going to be watching it?
Stream, probably.
Did you pay for the Valdez fight last night?
No. I downloaded. I didn't
notice
even watch it live last night. I downloaded it the next day.
Did you notice that Joe Cortez seemed to be in Valdez's corner, or somebody who looked very much like him anyway?
No, I didn't notice. The feed I was watching was like in Spanish this morning, and it was like pretty low quality.
Donnie, how will you be watching it?
Oh, well, I think Showtime's showing it live, right? So yeah, I'll watch it on that. But but what was I going to say? I think that either way with this fight, I think AJ is going to have to get credit if he does manage to do this. And even as somebody who is picking Vlad, barring maybe like a mid-fight injury or something like that, this is really gonna. This is going to tell us so much. And I think the thing that makes it so hard to pick is I think none of us can really just decide for ourselves before really seeing something like this. It's hard for us to decide whether or not Anthony Joshua is real or not. But I will say this, even though I'm picking Vlad, I'm picking Vlad, but I really, really want Joshua to win because I think it would be fantastic for boxing and for the future of boxing and for the heavyweight division, right? It's better to see the old guy get his crown taken from in a decisive and conclusive fashion. And then we can talk about, AJ versus Fury and Wilder and all those guys. And, and like, because you don't want to see if Vlad wins and then says, fuck the rematch clause, I'm just retiring or something. I think that the perception, I think, from a lot of boxing fans will be that Vlad was a very good fighter. AJ was hype. And now, what we're watching, as we continue to watch the heavyweight division, is just a bunch of leftovers who, basically the heavyweight division shit now, and these guys wouldn't hold a candle to anybody of the past or anything. It's just a bunch of leftovers. I think it's enormously important for boxing that Joshua does live up to everything we hope he's going to be and wins this fight, preferably by knockout. And I think it could, have long-term consequences in terms of people's interest in the heavyweight division to begin with, based on whether he wins or loses. He has so much. He really has the entirety of heavyweight boxing on his shoulders, particularly UK heavyweight boxing. And I really hope he delivers. I just don't think he's going to.
That's a good point. Another reason I do think that Joshua will do it is because the size, strength, and speed are something Vlad is not used to. Most of his opponents have a disadvantage physically in some way, whether it's height, whether it's cardio, whether it's punching power, whether it's hand speed, sometimes all four, actually frequently all four, considering some of his willful defenses. Here, he doesn't have that, and I think that's a significant factor. I know we like to focus on the more so the skills and the game plans, but the tangibles of this fight are significant in my opinion, and I think physically Joshua is the best match, arguably the best match Vlad's ever faced.
Big shout from Dave there. Marvelous Mendo is in touch, talking about a ghost from the past. He says, make a special effort to get Seb on the call. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to fulfill this, Mr. Mendo. He says, tell him he's a chicken shite after all his Ward Kovalev predictions. We want to hear all about Dr. Steelhammer's bludgeon jabs and Femi's shotgun shuffles. Good to have got Seb on the call. Unfortunately, it's not to be. Right, let's have a look. See if we've got any more questions. Ozzy Smith has jumped on with us. Ozzy, how are you sounding?
Yeah, I'm sounding okay. Can you hear me well?
Yep, we can hear you, man. Right, I'm going to hit you with a question here from Floppy Dildo. I don't know if that's his real name or not. Let's just assume it is. He says, Ozzy, question for you. If AJ beats Klitschko, how long before Eddie Hearn says that he's the pound-for-pound number one?
Has he not already said it already? I mean, this is Eddie Hearn we're talking about. If it's all about the profile, and he'll say anything to make anybody think he's got the best. It's an interesting one. I mean, I think Hearn's on borrowed time with Joshua, in my opinion. I think there's only so long until we're going to see AJ promotions branch out onto their own. I think, in all honesty, I think Joshua's taking a lot of money. As much as Hearn passes off that, AJ's, it's all about the undercard, it's all about this, it's all about that. I don't think AJ gives two stuffs about the undercard. I think he's all about himself, which I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But Hearn will say anything, won't he? It wouldn't show. I dread to think what we could hear if he beats Klitschko in pretty dominant style. I'm pretty concerned about it, really, from what we could hear.
How do you see them matching up on Saturday night, Ozzy? How do you see it going down?
It's going to be interesting, to say the least. This is Joshua's toughest test. I understand Klitschko's been out of the ring for a while now, but I don't think he's shot. I think they always say and the last thing you lose is power, and everyone's banging on that. Well, Tyson Fury made a mockery of him. Joshua's not going to box like Tyson Fury whatsoever. It's going to be completely different. And I honestly believe if Klitschko can land clean, I think it could be curtains. But likewise, I do think Joshua's dangerous. It's going to be interesting to watch. I don't see it going anywhere near the distance. I'd say within 6 rounds. I'll be backing Klitschko myself for the value. I've already got money on him. I think he touched 3-1 at one point, and I don't think he's a 3-1 dog in this sort of a matchup. So, if I've got a prediction now, I think Klitschko stops him within 5 after an early, maybe a shaky start.
You're a betting man, Ozzy. We had a question in earlier asking what the worst bets were that the panel have put on. Any you want to throw into the hat? Any shameful bets you've gone over the years on boxing?
Recent ones. I've done a few shameful ones. I remember backing Miles Shinkwin to beat Jose Burton, and that didn't go down too well. But I've never been sold on Burton, so I thought, well, I always felt he was there for the taking, and I did back Buglioni to beat Burton, so I kind of made some money back. A friend of mine backed Brett Fido to beat. It was the one of the debutants he boxed on the Glasgow card.
I can't remember. Fido, he's lost about 30, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think he's a bit better than his record suggests, Fido. He's one that goes on the road. Who was it? Oh, it was Sean McGoldrick. It was on the Manchester Arena card. And he had £4 on Fido at 25-1. That's a pretty shameful bet. But
you could say Fido's dog shit.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's not great, and I found it quite amusing when he told me that he fancied Fido to beat McGoldrick, who's a Commonwealth Games gold medalist. But no, none spring to mind, but there's definitely been a couple that I wouldn't be too proud of talking about anyway.
No worries. We've got Andy back now. We're going through our predictions. I know a few of the guys have already said who they think's going to win. You're going for the 5th round for Klitschko, Ozzy, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. As I say, we know the heavyweight boxing, anything can happen. It's one shot. They both got obvious power. Despite what people say, I'd still believe that Klitschko is the bigger puncher in this fight. I will happily go out and say that I do think Klitschko's the bigger puncher. And how well we all remember with a left, he was if right hand struggled to do against Fury and Jennings. Have a reach up, and so it's more like to this because I'm dreading social media for when Joshua does win.
Yeah, I don't know if Fozzie was cutting out a little bit or whether it's just my sound going again, but Stay on the line, Ozzy, if you want to discuss anything from the weekend. We're just going to go through the big fight predictions. He's going 5th round. The Guru's run off. Andy, tell me, Klitschko Joshua, how's it going to end?
Oh, fuck. I should probably just pick AJ, so when he wins, I can just take the credit for it, and then if he gets beat, I can just fucking happily just get trolled that Vladimir was, he had some left in him. I don't know, mate. I really don't know. I think it might even be a good sign that I'm actually kind of wavering, because we might get a good fight. Who knows? But I'm gonna say that AJ will probably pull it off.
What round are you going for?
I don't know. Maybe about the 9th or 10th, if he's still got something left. Fuck it, I'm going to go for Vlad. I don't know, honestly, I don't know.
You've only got to choose out of 2.
Fuck it, I'll go for Vlad. I'm going to go for Vlad. I'll say probably chins him about the 9th round. I'll be wrong in that prediction, but who gives a fuck? Just as long as he wins, I don't care. And it's not because I hate AJ, just because, it's just the whole caricature's just become a complete mess. I mean, he's getting, people are asking the question: is the second coming of Ali? Shit like that. I mean, fucking Ali, fucking, even getting mentioned in the same breath as this guy is actually like staggering. It's criminal. It's borderline criminal. But it's just because he's just this big money making machine. As people seem to kind of think he's like God, man. But he's he's so basic. He's just so basic at what he does. Okay, he's good with the basics. He's got the power and that, but he's never fought anybody up at this level before. And it's just if Klitschko had been like maybe 2 years ago, maybe still active or whatever, and that I'd be picking him without any hassle. But there's Russ on the call. He'll fucking tell us how it's going to go down.
How you doing, kids?
Oh Jesus!
Oh my God!
He's unmuted. I'm not unmuted, am I? Oh, am I?
We can hear you.
No, you're fine.
What's happening?
Yeah, I'm on the board tonight, aren't I?
I'm just disappointed I didn't get an orgy invite.
How you been, chaps? All right.
Not bad, mate.
Good man.
Talking
Good
Klitschko
man.
Joshua, Russ, I believe you want to have a rant about StubHub.
I think it's the biggest con since the Guinness fraud. End of the 80s, that Ernest Saunders, 300 million. It's the biggest con since then, and people in boxing all know it's a con, but they don't say anything. They keep, like the Sky pundits. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to fall out with anyone, but they're coming out with things like, is it too early or is it too late for Vladimir? And deep down, they know that Joshua's had 44 rounds as a pro. He not beat anybody in top 15, but yeah, it's a 90,000 sellout. That's where boxing's heading at the moment. If you can create an image and everybody buys into it, you don't get there on natural ability. I mean, that Jared Miller and other people like that Washington, and then they must be thinking, what have they got to do? Because I think they'd take Joshua out. They'd take him out inside 6 rounds. But that's how it's heading, isn't it?
Well, just hype it. I mean, Joshua is a gold medalist. I mean, you can't take that away from him. And
Olympic medalist? What? He lost his first fight against the Cuban, and out of the other 3 fights, he lost 2. He only beat the Chinaman, didn't he?
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's those matters are debatable. But what I'm going to say though is that, I mean,
I don't want to see.
One of the things about the way guys are brought along right now in boxing is that sometimes by the time they're fighting for a title, it's like, it used to be you had to like sort of justify your position in order to fight for the title in the first place. Whereas it's now, you're fighting guys or maybe even already have a paper title or something, but you're fighting guys and like, you don't really know whether they are real or whether they're hype. And in some ways that's bad, but in some ways that makes for incredibly compelling and interesting fights. And I think this is one of them, right? Where it's like, we're going to find out whether it's hype or whether it's real. And this is the ultimate test.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, that, mate. Yeah. That's other side.
Tell us about this. Tell us about this StubHub thing. What's annoying you about that?
StubHub. Well, it's all out there. If you go on the internet, you just have to know where to look. StubHub were invented in year 2000 by two young geeks from money. They were from wealthy families. They were at Stanford University. That's supposed to be a good university in America. Now, they invented it, and they ended up dropping out of university and to do secondary market tickets. Now, what they did, they sold it to eBay in 2007 because eBay were their main seller of it. They've seen the turnover, and they thought, we'll have some of that. You know, it's a future thing, because eBay plan for the future, don't they? So they sold it, and now they're like as rich as whoever, multi, swimming in chochai, aren't they? But it's a con. People can see it's a con. But what happens is, for example, if you want to look at Matchroom's accounts, you'll go every end of April every year. Their accounts will be online if you pay £4.99. But it will not include StubHub. Why is that? It's because it's a Switzerland company, isn't it? eBay you can't see eBay's account. You can't see StubHub's. It's a classic Ponzi scheme that, like, accountants know about. Say, for instance, Barry Earney's youngest chartered accountant in the country, has been for 40-odd years. Very bright man, very shrewd. They know every little manoeuvre. So they've got this thing going now with StubHub, whereas they don't need to tell anybody that they're getting any money off it. Now, I've pulled Eddie many times about it, and he didn't want to talk about it. He'll answer any other email. He won't talk about StubHub. Why not? If he's not making no money off StubHub, why don't he leave the tickets at Wembley Stadium? Because FA Cup sell them every year. Sell 100,000 every year, don't they? They have done for 100 years. So they know what they're doing. But I'm just going to show you some figures here that are going to blow your mind. And this is all Eddie's.
Russ, mate, you're covering your mouthpiece a wee bit, mate, when you're talking.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me now?
No.
Are you moving around?
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
No.
What about?
Are you moving? Are you like in a car, son?
No, I'm up at home upstairs. Is that better?
No, mate, you're sounding very faint. Just lift your phone away and just talk into it normally.
Is that better?
That's a wee bit better, aye.
Right, what StubHub is, right? Eddie, on his 2 interviews that I found on iFilm, he's done 2 blocks of tickets to StubHub. Now, it adds up at 53,000 tickets on StubHub. Now, there's 9,000 to Fight Pass. That's 62,000, isn't it? And the Fight Pass is 30 quid a year to join. So that's 270 grand a year just to join, so you can pick your ticket. Then you've got 15,000 tickets to Club Wembley. That's 77,000. That leaves 13. I know for a fact that they base it on 500 a fight at Fighters. There'll be 10 fights on. That's 5,000 tickets. So what does that leave through the gate? It only leaves 8,000. So yeah, he can jump up and down screaming, we sold out in an hour. Technically, they did. But they didn't really, did they? Because all them tickets, they went from Wembley in Matchroom's Ford Galaxy. They went to StubHub and Fight Pass and back over to Brentwood, didn't they, across London? 8,000 tickets are on sale at Wembley. That's it. All the rest of them are spoken for, so it's not a sellout. And if you go on StubHub today, there's still tickets available. Now, the 53,000 tickets are mainly the 80 quid ones, the bulk, the most popular ticket. Now, them tickets are 960 quid on StubHub. They're now 820 and 770, but they were 960 and maybe a little bit more. Now, you add that up, 53,000 tickets at 80 quid face value, that's 4,240,000. But you add it up at 960 quid, that's 50,880,000 pounds. So where's the other 46.5 million going? 46.5. This is why you've got Frank. He's got somebody asking questions. Well, it's a woman asking questions, actually. But Frank Warren's got somebody in House of Commons asking questions about this. And they're all burying their head. So where's the money going? 46.5 million quid, that is. Somebody's getting it, aren't they? Listen, when Brocksport, he never had StubHub on his shorts, did he? Or his tracksuit. But Joshua has, hasn't he? Where's the money going? Now, we're talking Switzerland bank accounts here, aren't we? And accounts that are not being declaring. It's going somewhere, but it's all the fans' money, innit? And I've been saying all this. Be humble, stay hungry, be nice, be a good person, eat your vegetables, be big and strong like Hulk Hogan and Joshua. Look, we all know what's going down, don't we? It's the biggest con since the Guinness fraud. And nobody wants to talk about it. Eddie don't want to talk about it. Sky pundits don't want to talk about it. Coogan Cassius don't want to talk about it because he knows better.
So who does want to talk about it? There's only Ron Lewis who...
Just a bit no more.
Ron.
What about the actual fight itself?
The fight itself's a mismatch. I mean, he's 44. It's impossible for a guy to have 44 rounds and beat Vladimir. If he beats him, I will be shocked and I will say, what am I doing in boxing? I got in boxing 2.5 years ago to make a difference. And all I see is one-way traffic. I might as well go back and be full-time on my carpet, can I? Because I'm not making a difference. If I want to make Liam Cameron against Paul Smith, I run down an avenue that comes to Eddie. If I want to make Sheedy against John Ryder, it runs to Eddie. All the roads lead to Eddie. And he's saying he wants everybody to do great and that I shouldn't be a hater and he only wants good for people. Well, spread the love. He's keeping things in-house. It fucking killed him to make John Ryder against Eddie. It killed him. But John Ryder wanted to fight, didn't he? And since then he's like shit-end at thick-ended John Ryder. He's not super middleweight. Rocky Fielding's a light heavyweight. John Ryder's just a middleweight. It's a mismatch. He's keeping it in house, and all they're doing is rematch.
Russ.
They can't fill the date. Go on.
Russ, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, you say, oh, he only has 44 rounds or whatever. Now, I don't know exactly. I haven't done the actual tally, but before Mike Tyson faced Trevor Berbick, or later on, and of course, went in there with Spinks and with Holmes and all those guys. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of rounds either, right? Because he just dispatched them so quickly. I mean, and I mean, you could say whatever you want about Tyson. He overall in his career he underachieved or something, but no one would say that the hype around Tyson wasn't real. I mean, he was obviously a very, very, very talented fighter, and I mean, the fact that he only has 44 rounds, I don't think should be a disqualifier against him.
Well, okay, then maybe maybe I've got it wrong. Then maybe Joshua's just freaking nature. Listen, I speak to Dorian Yates regularly, and he says to me, "How can Joshua put 33 pounds of muscle on in the year after Olympics? 33 pounds of muscle, right? Dorian Yates couldn't get that on, and he were juiced out of his mind. He said, how's he done that in a year? Now he's either a freak. Hey, listen, he could be Superman. I mean, he probably is Superman, but I don't think so." When you've got Dave Allen bullying you when you walk in the ring, it's hollow, it's fake, it's manufactured, and I'm not caught up in it yet. Vladimir's 18 months out of the ring. He's an old man. Ali was 38 when he fought Larry Holmes, wasn't he? Well, Vladimir's 41, right, and he can't do what he did at 35. And I think he's still got enough in tank to beat Flex. I do, honestly.
What round are you going for?
Well, I mean, Dave Allen's had a bit on the first few rounds. I'm going to go for late on at 9 to 12 stoppage. We him walking about like David Price the other week, doing wobbly legs. I'm going to go for that. Proper schooling. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to go looking at the statistics, and it's impossible to do it after 44 rounds. I know Leon Spinks did, but we're talking one-off. We're not talking, come on. There's guys, right, that they're getting up at that EIS near where I live, and they're sparring Joshua. They're doing well, and then they're turning pro, or they're not fighting him again. It's hard to explain. Anybody who gives him an hard time up there, they turn pro, whether it be a Coley or Danny Dubois. He rules there, mate. But I'm telling you now, he's a fraud. I hope he is. Hey, listen, I hope we can get behind him and cheer him from the rafters, but I'm not buying into it. He's a bad seed, and they're painting him out to not be. Be humble, right? Millions of pounds, and they're creaming off fans. He's walking around saying, be humble, stay hungry. It's crap. I'm not having it, mate. He's a fraud, mate. He's a fraud. You ask him about his convictions. What's he say? Oh, just some crazy shit when I was young. He wasn't crazy shit. He knows what happened. The program's like Cyborg. Yeah, he can fight, yeah. And, he had a spar with Tyson, but when Tyson took his top off and said, come on, let's have it, he didn't really want to know, did he? He jumped out the ring. His trainer took him out. He will be... It's just a case of when. By the time he does get scored, he'll have 100 million in bank, won't he? And it won't really matter, will it? They'll be off into sunset, won't it? Him and Eddie. Eddie would have had a better hair transplant, and they'll be gone, won't they?
We'll stay on the call. I'm going to get the rest of the boys' opinions on this one before we move on to Bellews.
Cheers, mate.
Right, Don, I know you've probably already said who you think's going to win, but tell me again.
Just a final prediction. I'm going to say Vladimir and AJ will have a cautious and careful fight in the beginning. Vlad is going to have the lead on a legitimate scorecard. I know Andy thinks that there's no way that Vlad will get the benefit of the doubt in any close round, but I think that with legitimate judging, Vlad will be edging the fight. I think that it's going to force AJ to open up and take some risks, and when he does, I think he's going to walk into a right hand, and I'm going to go with Vladimir getting the knockout over Anthony Joshua in about 7 or 8 rounds.
Okay. Hey to Dave. Tell me again who you're going for.
I'm going to go with Joshua. I think it will be smart and tactical for the first round, and Joshua's going to, well, I don't know about smart, but it'll be tactical for the first round, and then Joshua's going to start opening up and kind of grow in confidence as little comes back from Vlad, and then he's going to eventually catch him with a big shot and knock him out in 5th or 6th round. 6th.
6th round for you. Ben, what about you? Final prediction?
I think it's going to go on quite a bit. I don't know exactly what round, probably 9th, 10th, 11th round, but I think Vlad will get it. I think he'll stop him. Rematch as well.
Go on, Ben.
But I'm going with Vlad. And by the way, Andy, you sounded just like my wife on making your decision. It's just like that's what she's like when she chooses chocolate. That's how hard your decision was.
I tell you what, mate, I sounded like my wife when she's in the restaurant trying to pick something off the menu and that.
Yeah.
Like, just like 20-minute deliberation, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we get the guru in, I've been going for Vlad all along, but I'm wavering. It's not a good sign. I think maybe my heart's moving in my head because I would love to see Vlad knock the hype train out, but I'm going to go for Joshua. I think Joshua's going to do it, and a little bit out of convention, I think Joshua's going to win on points, and I think it's going to be quite a dull affair, and they're going to be afraid to engage, and I think Joshua's going to take it on points. Guru, what do you think?
You're on mute.
Tommy, Joshua going to run rings around him, show a bit of added mobility that we've never seen from him before? You going to fight the winner, Tommy? Tommy's not answering. Right, we'll move on then, guys. What time is it? 2 minutes till the top of the hour. Hopefully everybody can still hear me. Bit of an unorthodox setup here. I'm sitting on the mobile next to the 2 computers on this Sunday evening. Right, let's have a look. Bellew of the week. No theme tunes for the Bellew of the week this week, I'm afraid, guys. Oh, before I go on to the Bellew of the week, Ozzy, was there anything from the weekend you wanted to about Langford or Murray or anything?
I watched the BT card live on television last night, and I really enjoyed it. I thought they absolutely nailed it from the off. As I mentioned last week, he went old school. He had an area title, an English title. It turned out to be a WBO interim title for Tete, and then he had another interim title for Langford. Really enjoyed the English title fight involving Jermaine and Smile. Absolutely brilliant, and again with the area title involving Woodstock and Holt. It was really good for, I think it was 4 rounds, but it just shows that evenly matched fights, no matter what level they are, will more than doubt produce. They were really good, and I'd like to see more area titles because it produces the better fights rather than crappy mismatches. The Sky card, I thought, I said it was pretty last week. I thought it was one of his better ones, but it turned out to be absolutely awful. There was nothing beautiful about the Murray-Rosado fight. I thought the 119 109 card was an absolute disgrace, and I genuinely believe now that the UK is probably one of the worst places in the world to come and for judges and producing cards. It's a disgrace, and we're seeing it all too often now. It always used to be a case of, you'll never get a result in Germany. I don't think you get a result over here anymore. It's frustrating, and I saw last night a couple of promoters, like, I know Hearn tweeting it out, but it wasn't against his guy, so realistically, he doesn't give a toss. But Steve Wood, one of the smaller hall promoters, was absolutely furious about it, and he was a complete neutral in the fight. And I enjoyed the John Ryder Rocky Fielding fight. On my card, I had Ryder winning it by 3. I feel for John Ryder a bit. You do wonder, will he ever get the elusive British title? And there was a couple of decent fights lower down the card. Mulcahy in with Keats, that was a decent scrap, and Tom Farrell in with Tommy Karras, again a reasonably matched fight, and it produced. So I saw a couple of polls last night. People were talking about why does it have to be BT against Sky, but what we didn't see last night is any of the little Matchroom cronies tweeting pictures of empty seats. When in the Echo, I think there was about a maximum of about 3,000. Now, they're all right to do it for when Frank shows aren't particularly full, but when it's the other way around, it's pretty silent on Twitter. So, no, I enjoyed the BT card overall, and I got to say, I think Frank had one over on Eddie last night.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for that, Ozzy. Right, let's get on to the value of the week then, guys. Quite a packed line-up here. I will flick through my phone and see what we can dig up. Matthew Skelton has nominated Chris Eubank Sr. Nice little selfie from Eubank Sr. He says, I don't mind a thief, but can't stand a liar. Still the foundation of life is love, so forgive and move on now with your prayers. Thanks for that, Eubank Sr. Michael Bellinger has nominated Kurt Mills. He says, AJ is the man. You can't see anyone else, past or present, beating him. Okay. Lee Jordison sent this in. Facebook exchange on the comment section about the Joshua Fury spat. At the bottom, Abiot Tadessa says, Eubank Jr. called Triple G after his last fight. He preferred Brock by ignoring him. All right, then. Let's have a look. Oh, Doddsmeister Andy is getting a bit confused by lineal and unified champions. Alex Melia said, sorry to burst your bubble, but Fury is still the lineal champion. Until somebody beats him, he's still the world's #1 heavyweight. And Doddsmeister says, never had the WBC belt, so he wasn't the lineal champion like Lewis or Tyson was. He's getting a bit confused there. The Guru got this one out of Charlie Edwards, actually. The Sun were looking for Charlie Edwards to do an interview, and Charlie Edwards said, I would never entertain the Sun. I have some Morales.
I've never seen that.
I think he meant morals.
Aye, Morales.
Tommy put up a picture of Morales, and Danny Robson jumped in, and he showed a picture of Charlie Edwards thanking the Sun for doing an interview with him last year.
Oh, people got long memories.
Yeah, Twitter and screenshots. Right, Brian King sent this one in from Daniel Cooper. Anthony Fowler will be the Joshua of the middleweight division, but better and more exciting. He'll take over. Nasty man in the ring.
That's my winner.
Lucas Aid Sport from Watford to Wembley. This could be the second coming of Ali, Anthony Joshua.
I mentioned that earlier on there during the week in a preview. That was pure AIDS, Lucas Aid. It's shite stuff as well.
You wouldn't want to drink that, would you? Again, Brian King again sent this one in from Jas11. His pound for pound list. He's got Ward, Kovalev, Rigondo, Pacquiao, Triple G, Lomachenko, Mikey Garcia, Crawford, Jacobs, and Canelo.
Fucking Jacobs. Oh, fuck
value. Nick Garber to Adrian Broner. A bit harsh this, Andy, for old AB. He's arrested after police discover the troubled boxer in a bullet-ridden car. What's the ridden car? They couldn't manage to hit him.
Oh man, that was tremendous viewing. Just seeing fucking that wee fucking walking abortion get arrested right outside the hotel, pissed out his brain. Hey officers, I've got 2 guns, but they're picking in my fists and all that sort of shit. You know, I was so gutted that I didn't wake up to hear that. You know, he's been found in his car, a bullet-ridden car with a 45mm slug through his fucking cranium. You know, I'm telling you, I've been on this guy's case for years, since 2011. People, if the former still up, people would know this. I have been on this guy's case for years. He is going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout, and on the other end of it, he's going to meet a Glock and he's going to get fucking shot to death, and hopefully it's going to happen.
If he gets shot anytime soon, he's not going to fulfill my prophecy that he ends up moving up eventually and fighting at light heavyweight.
Oh, he's going to end up homeless at some point, like. A fucking mess. A mess.
Right, Tommy the Guru Allen who was supposed to be here, he put up a pound for pound list, and Boxing Man Talk got involved. Kevin Watson nominated him. Boxing Man Talk said, "I love Pacquiao, but he's not number 2. Triple G, Ward, Canelo, Lomachenko, and Garcia need to all be moved up ahead of him." Who's Pacquiao ever fought, man? He's shit.
He's overrated, mate. Everybody knows this.
Ashley the Zulu sent this one in for Sky Sports News. Wouldn't be the same without them, would it? For thinking that Felix Sturm is Arthur Abraham. They were talking about the Sturm Murray fight, and they put a picture of when Abraham beat Murray.
Seen that.
Silly Billies. Who's this one? Ben O'Connor has sent in an early nomination on Anthony Fowler's Instagram post. Somebody said, this would be the match I would like to see. Tony Bellew versus Anthony Fowler, Everton versus Liverpool. Goosebumps. Let's make it happen.
Okay, I want to change to that.
That was Matt Furl.
Matt Farrell.
Farrell.
Fucking full of shit.
Matthew Skelton has nominated Gareth A. Davis for the whole Fight Club podcast. Can't say that I've ever listened to that, but happy to nominate Mr. A. Davis. Craig Mastro has nominated Tommy Langford. He said in a TalkSport interview that him versus Billy Joe Saunders would fill an arena in the UK.
Huh? Maybe the motor point in Wales or something, if they're lucky.
Aye, maybe. Conor McGregor said, "Here is a reply video I sent to one of my proteges who was seeking advice on boxing." And Jordan Hum said, "One jab and Floyd's head will be rolling."
I've seen that.
He sent that one in. Rocco sent in a nomination for Lucas Matisse. He told Ellie Setback that he wants to see a Madonna versus Canelo fight. Yeah, you're the only one.
Aye, I mean, he wouldn't have much weight to lose, I suppose. Just about 3 divisions.
Judging by Madonna at the moment, I'd say he'd probably be heavier than Canelo, yeah?
Aye, there was a bit of rehydration clause put in that fight, like.
Oh. John Swan, happy to nominate this one. Liam Pedder was tweeting at Martin Murray, I think it was. He says, "You got this, champ, hashtag and the new." And John Swan was like, and the new what? Intercontinental champ? What is this? That one, John. Huey Fury doesn't look like he's going to be fighting anytime soon, but he come off with a belter on IFL this time. He says he's going over to New Zealand to bring the belt back from the lion's nest. He also said Jonathan Banks. Oh, sorry, he's nominated Jonathan Banks. This is Josh Richardson. Jonathan Banks apparently said Vlad is the dinosaur of the division. So he's basically compared his fighters to an extinct creature. Fuck's sake. I like that Huey Fury one though. Sar Christoph has nominated Tommy Langford's trainer for saying that he could sell out the Hawthorn Stadium. Okay, what's this one? Daniel O'Sullivan has nominated RDX Sports. RDX Sports says, "We're giving away 2 pairs of VIP exclusive tickets to the most anticipated boxing match of the decade." And Daniel says, "The same decade that includes Mayweather and Pacquiao." Yeah, good point. Gareth Chamberlain has nominated Matt King. He said, "AJ knocks Vlad out easily come April. The best boxers in the world are from the UK. Fact." dear. Seeing is believing on this one. I'll put it up on the Facebook page. Victoria Ansell has nominated this complete state in the crowd at the supporting Masha Dodd at the fight over the weekend. Can I nominate this last for Bear of the Week? Did you see it with the big knockers?
You would, Steve, eh?
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with her. She looks like quite a nice wee girl. Right. Carl Froch, he deleted this one, but Leon from the Coalition sent it in before he had a chance to completely erase it from memory. Tommy Robinson of the EDL put up a big St. George's flag and said, "The most beautiful sight there. Happy St. George's Day, everyone." And Carl Froch retweeted it.
Say that again. Tommy Robinson. It was Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson, you know, that EDL guy?
Yeah.
He put up a big St. George's flag and said, "Happy St. George's Day, beautiful sight," or something, and Carl Froch retweeted it.
Do you know what's funny about that? I was looking at Carl Froch's brother's Twitter account, and he retweets Tommy Robinson nearly every day. All his stuff is like EDL stuff. So that's probably where he's got it from. Because I thought if I interview Carl Froch, I'm going to ask him about this, because it's ridiculous.
Oh, that's a good one. That might be my one. Liam has nominated Darren Barker for saying that Andre Berto put in a good performance against Floyd by basically just going to points. Martin Hurry nominated Martin Murray. Murray tweeted out to Gabe Rosado last night, "You had a boxing lesson and it was too little too late at the end. I did the same when I fought Groves. Anyway, safe journey home." Sam on Twitter said, "Martin Murray is my favourite boxer, so I'm not saying anything other than it would be a great close fight." I'm not sure who he's talking about. Box office standard fight. Martin Murray against nobody is a box office standard fight, Sam. So you're getting nominated for that one. Quite a few guys, nearly getting to the end. Guy Griffith sent this in. Apparently, Paul Smith was getting his comments about the fights put on some kind of timeline on Sky Sports website. He said, "I think Masha Dodd has taken over. I think it's a bad performance from Appleyard. He just keeps coming forward looking for one big shit and it's not working." A bit of a typo there, Andy, unless Masha Dodd was looking to squeeze one out in the ring.
Or someone's been actually trying to kind of like, just like £30 software and started like just fucking about with the screenshot. But no, Paul Smith's that thick, he would probably tweet something like
that. Matt Skelton sent in another one. Scott Ince apparently has had his say on the AJ Klitschko fight. He says, "AJ will win easily. Too big, too strong, too ruthless. Ali was mediocre in a terrible era of heavyweight boxing. AJ is ruling while boxing's booming." That must be a troll. Must be a troll. That's all that I've got. Has anybody got any others that they want to add in? And don't ask me to try and find any of these because there's that.
Did you get?
I do have one. I have. So I want to nominate Steve Wellings. Earlier in this broadcast, there was a Facebook question that was asked to the panel from a person named Limp Dildo, and Steve said, "I question is this his real name or not?" As if that was on his birth certificate. Like, first name Limp, last name Dildo.
I was only joking, Donny, but sure, that's okay.
I don't. Well, yeah.
I've got one for Sky Sports News. Apparently, they were interviewing Kasabian, right? And Johnny Nelson asked the question, to like, I don't know if he's leads. I don't know who the fuck he is, but he's a member of Kasabian, and just basically asked the question about how do you block out 90,000 fans at Wembley? Right? You're asking a fucking music band or a rock band or whatever the fuck they are how to fucking deal with a fight in front of 90,000 people. Seriously? Surely Christ, you just pick up the phone to Julio Cesar Chavez and say, "Listen, what was it like in the Azteca Arena in front of 100,000? Absolute fucking mutants asking that question.
You know what they're like, though, when it comes to fight week? They'll be flipping interviewing Joshua's dinner lady and everything.
Oh, fucking unbelievable.
Any more?
That's all I've got, mate.
For the gloves are off with Johnny Nelson, Anthony Joshua, and Vladimir Klitschko. It was probably the worst one of them I've ever. I didn't even watch the whole thing. The highlights are some of the worst bits of trash talk and I don't know, self bigging up confidence that I've ever heard. It was horrendous. Don't watch it.
I haven't watched that fucking stitch yet. I think the only thing I'm going to watch is the fight, and that's going to be it. And that undercard is pure trash.
Yeah, do you want to mention the undercard actually, Andy? Before we do our picks? No, I don't think so.
No, really. I mean,
Quigg's on it, isn't there? Yeah.
Scott Quigg will be coming doing sponsored by Lego. We'll have Katie Taylor fighting some fucking dyke in a final eliminator, and then we've got some fucking, was it 3 Sri Olympians on the card? Oh, we call Luke Campbell's fighting
Campbell Perez.
I mean, that guy's dead at that weight. I mean, and that guy wasn't even ranked with WBA. Well, certainly wasn't ranked number 1 anyway, WBA a couple of weeks back, and now he's number 1 now. I mean, it's complete corruption.
Right, guys. We shall go for our picks then. I'm going to go for...
Steve, I've got a couple, but if I can jump in.
Yep, yes, certainly.
One on a guy on Twitter last night, Macaulay1, saying that he prefers the 119-109 card for Martin Murray because Murray won and it was never a 114-114 card. So he prefers the 119-109 because it got the result right and there was never a chance in hell it was 114-114. Then for Martin Murray's trainer, Oliver Harrison, going into, I think it was either the start of round 12 or round 11, he's telling Martin Murray, it's round 8. There's still 4 rounds to go. And then in the corner, Jamie Moore in the corner's going, no, it's round, I think it was round 11. And he's like, you're joking. You're joking. So I'm thinking, this is supposedly a top qualified trainer. He doesn't even know what round it is.
Happy to add those in, Aussie. Thanks for nominating Oliver Harrison and Mr. R. Macaulay for their services to shit talking this week. Any final nominations, anybody? Okay, right. I'm going for Carl Froch. Guru, are you back with us? Tommy. Gonna have to give up on Tommy. I think he's dead. Big Russ, can you unmute yourself? Who are you going for on Bellew of the Week? Gonna have to leave Big Russ. Ozzy, who are you going for?
What were the Anthony Fowler ones again? I think the one where he said, is it going to be the Joshua of the middleweight division, was it, or something like that? Is that what the
yes?
Is that what the nomination was? Yeah, definitely that one. It's the biggest load of tripe I've heard in a long time.
That was Daniel Cooper and Brian King setting that one in, yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Cooper's got my vote.
Andrew?
What was the Hughie Fury one again, mate?
That was, he said that he's going into the lion's nest.
That's it. I'm having that one. Hughie Fury for me.
I'm tempted by that one. I'll stick with Froch, though. What about you, Donna?
Well, first of all, I want to go for Broner, but I was going to mention this. I didn't want to interrupt you. I don't think you really did the Broner one justice because, I mean, he did have a bullet-riddled SUV, which was a rental, by the way. First of all, you can imagine, like, returning that rental car. Well, is everything still in order with the vehicle? Well, we had a minor mishap here, but then so he got arrested by the police who saw the bullet-riddled SUV. He gets into the patrol car, and there has been actual body camera police footage that has been released about this, to which Broner told the cops, "Listen, bro, I'm rich. I don't give a fuck about nothing." And then police asked Broner multiple times to calm down and stop yelling. Broner said, "Stop, man. You're spitting in my face and stuff. I got 2 guns on me."
He's lucky he's not dead right now.
And they tell, and then wait. So then, so anyways, apparently Broner, then as he's getting into the car and like the car's about to pull away, the window was open. Broner shouted to a stranger next to the car, "Yo, man, follow me to this jail and put up my bail money. I got you, bro." A complete stranger. Hey, anybody bail me out. I don't care who. I think that, Broner, having told everybody about a month ago that his life was totally changed now and that he had rediscovered purpose and everything like that, and now he's shouting to random strangers to bail him out of jail with bullet-riddled SUVs. I think Adrian Broner has to be the Bellew of the Week.
What about a Bellew of the Week, Donny, to the shooter for not being able to finish the job?
Yes. Yes, Steve. Yes. I put him forward. That's fuck you, Fury. I want that guy. I want that.
Or her. We don't know.
Or her. It could be a her. The amount of slags and sloths that he's fucking pumped there at the times, and the sewer rats that he's fucking dipped. I'm having that. I'm having the fucking shooter.
Right, who you going for then, Donny? Are you going for A?
Oh, I'm going for Broner. I think that, yeah.
Yes.
David?
After that description, I got to go Broner too.
Or Broner sneaked out in front. Ben, any aberrations away from Broner?
I'm going to go with you and Carl Froch, and mainly because there was someone being extremely racist towards either Muslims or Pakistanis. I'm not quite sure, but either way, they were doing that in the live chat. So I'm going to go with the just to annoy them. I'm going to go with the Tommy Robinson one.
Couple for Froch, couple for Broner. Oh, Froch has done well in his career. Should we go for Broner this week? We've got no sound effects.
Yes.
Though. I think they've finally pulled the sound effects. We'll go for A, B, shall we?
We should be. And if you want to just kind of drag it a wee bit longer until I get the sound effects up on my phone, we've got to say that it's the greatest things that has ever happened since he came out of jail. So we've got to say this: Adrian Broner. I went shite. 2 things. There we go. just think he's probably still in jail now. I tweeted him last night asking for a wee update because I was concerned about him. I really was concerned about him, because he's, I didn't want to bring his kids into the situation, but he's got to think about them. He can't be running about the fucking street corners, running about getting shot at and stuff like that. I mean, maybe Donny says maybe a changed man, isn't he?
Yeah. A lot of people are shitting on AB, but we've still got his back on here, Andy.
Oh, aye.
Right. I think we'll pack up. Only one thing to mention. Well, first of all, thanks to the guys for covering earlier when my sound went shit as usual. Don't know what's going on. Been doing the same things for years, and all of a sudden it's decided to go completely crap. So I shall continue to tinker this week and try and work out what the hell is going wrong. We are hoping. A lot of people have been asking Andy about a post-fight pod on Saturday night. We will be doing a post-fight pod, all being well. Straight after Joshua Klitschko, we'll be going live. So if you want to have your say of what's just gone down, maybe Joshua's just knocked Vlad out. Maybe Vlad's just flattened the great UK hope of heavyweight boxing. We don't know. But either way, we'll stick the link out. And if you want to come on Saturday night, straight after the main event, it'll be about 11:30, maybe knocking on 12 by that point. But you can jump on with us and we'll talk shit for an hour and a half, or however long it lasts. So join us on the Nuthouse on Saturday night, and then the regular show next Sunday as well. We'll be chewing the fat, looking over what's happened on Saturday night. Anything else, guys, that I might have missed you want to add in before we head out of here?
Nope.
Excellent stuff. Right. Okay. We shall thank the panel tonight for doing such a great job. Tommy the Guru Allen, don't know what happened to him, but he's here in spirit. He's still sitting with his little face on the panel. So thanks to you, Tommy. Also, thanks to Big Russ for jumping on. Ozzie Smith, Andy Patterson, Donny Baseball, Dave the Hater Lowback, and Ben from BNTV. Was anybody else on tonight? Have we lost anybody? I don't think we have. I think we've pretty maintained a pretty solid panel. No Smido tonight, no Dangerous Dave Lee. We were hoping to get Kurt Ward on, but unfortunately he wasn't able to join us. But anyway, enough of all that. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you all.
What are the best trips, Steve?